Oh God. What the fuck?
Oh God.
Oh my God. For some reason, I swear to God, every time we like don't do any shows for a while, OBS ruins
It
everything.
assumes you're not coming back. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
scrap
I
it.
guess I'll
Bitch
just
it.
erase everything this guy has done.
Can you like save a profile in OBS?
Yeah, I do all the time. This is a save
And it
profile.
doesn't. And it deletes your save file?
No, it doesn't delete the save file. It just tweaks things. Like for instance, we've never had the like save, edit, like the like menu, like context menu at the top of the draw pile. That's never been visible before, as far as I'm aware. Unless like I just haven't been noticing that for years and years. But now all of a sudden it was there. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Now it's there all the time. And
Leviathan Dennett is subscribed again. 30 months. Holy smoke. That's like
right.
3 times. That's like so many months, dude.
That's like at least a month.
30 months ago. I don't even know what I was doing, dude. What was I doing back then?
Does everybody always have a subscriber like Den? I don't think so.
No, they'd be so lucky. They wish.
They wish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, folks. Sorry
So
that
it's just like Vin Diesel.
extra attacks gave us a big ol' wow, and I repaid them by triggering their misophonia and taking a big ol' slurp into the microphone. Oop. And they just redeemed a hydrate, so you know what that means.
Oh, they want more. Oh no, Fred Durst. He's dursting too much.
Oh no, he's breaking the Durst limit.
Some days Fred Durst breaks. I don't know how to do that. I can't think of how to do the joke.
Some days Fred Durst just wants to break stuff.
Sure, but he's the one breaking. Oh.
Oh. Okay. I'm gonna draw. I took on the mission to draw a car.
Yeah, and maybe even from like a weird angle, so like you're really asking for trouble.
You know, if I want to, like, I feel like we've been in a situation before. We've like had to draw pirate ships. We've had to draw cars. We've had to draw all manner of vehicles, and like I'm never good at them. And like maybe it's time that we get good at them.
Yeah, you're growing as a person over there. You're trying to do new things. You're trying to, you know, improve.
Yeah. All right, so I've got a Ford Mustang up on my screen. We're not sponsored. We actually, I have the opportunity.
Why would they sponsor?
Why would they sponsor us? God knows. But I do have the opportunity to sponsor this place, this podcast, or at least my personal stream. I'm not sure about DrawBomb. I'd have to sign it into Stream Elements. But, I mean, we could be shills for Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah.
Woo!
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Raid Shadow Legends, Gonthor is back to the Wildlands, and he is
pissed,
destroying shit. Bring Huntress.
Which?
What?
Why don't you bring the big titty orc keeps being in all the fucking commercials that I see?
Oh, those are very like specific commercials for you.
I guess so.
We know how to get this guy.
Oh, this guy. If there's anything we know he loves Shrek and he loves titties. So what other way to get him on board than buy some fucking Shrek titties over here? Gosh, what a great start to this podcast. We're about 5 minutes in, and we've already said the word titties 3 times now.
Everybody must have missed us. We weren't here last week. We were memorialing last week.
We were memorialing. I didn't have a friend in town at all.
And also, I just moved, as you may notice from different backgrounds, so I wasn't all set up yet. I literally moved that day, so my computer was in boxes.
In fact, I have to readjust your camera, I think, because
Oh
wait,
yeah.
no,
You
don't.
got it cropped a little.
You're nice and centered, so and I prefer to keep it that way, and then I'm gonna maybe I can do this without breaking the show.
That's it's quite the claim that you think you'll be able to do that.
The tall order.
All order. Ian, how you been?
I can't complain. I mean, things could be better, things could be worse. What can I say? How about you?
I've been really good.
Hey.
I have been enjoying my new surroundings. That's great. Getting set up, moved in, which is, I feel like moving sucks, and it does, but it's exciting when it's an upgrade. It really sucks when you're moving to someplace shittier than when you lived before, which I've also done.
Done that many a time.
But this is an upgrade, so it's been exciting seeing it come together. Really loving the new digs.
Awesome.
You'll have to come out sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hell yeah. Don't gotta ask me twice.
I think it's my turn, though, to make the trip.
Oh shit, I made you shiny doggy. Wait, it says,
yay!
Oh. Wait,
I'm employed now.
Yeah, you have a job. There, I think I'm more centered. Now let's get you more centered. Durst into the thirst, Tyler said about when we were... I think that's a great... We should actually...
Yeah!
Whenever we got hydrated, we should durst into the thirst and just... I'm gonna spam that button.
That can be... Maybe we can make an alert that does something like that every time.
Durst into the thirst!
We should create some more like graphics. I created that little DrawBois that pops up when people do things.
Yeah.
But I want to do more. I want to do more.
Yeah, we used to have. Well, you even made a full ass animation for an intro sequence that we never quite.
Oh yeah. It exists out there somewhere.
The file's somewhere.
I know where it is. I have it, but.
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh, nothing. I was just go ahead. Keep on.
Oh,
finish what you were saying. I didn't mean to cut you off.
But yeah, it'd be cool to add some more like stuff to the channel for like when things occur.
Yeah, I made a whole ass stinger for. Oh, you know what? That one stinger I can use for. I used it for empty head buffet, but I really made it for general purposes. But I can add that one fun stinger.
Oh, the little spinny.
Show. Yeah, with all the Mario
like
sounds.
I like that spinny. It's a good
I'm glad
spinny.
you enjoyed it. Maybe I can do that before I ruin everything. It's too late. You know what? We should start the show. We'll have some more. We'll have a stinger for the next episode, but
it's good to get ambitious while the episode is airing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That always goes well. Zone Dog says, oh.
Oh, no, you go ahead. You read it.
Go ahead. No, you.
I gotta draw this card. You read the fucking line, okay?
All right. I thank General Porpoise. I can't read.
Oh no, I didn't know, folks. I didn't know that all this time.
It's something about a porpoise. I don't know.
We had somebody who was illiterate on the team. We will correct this by teaching him to read and write.
Just say don't be ableist and
yeah, I'm not gonna fire you. That'd be. I don't know if that's ableism. I think that's more classist. I think class is largely. I mean, sure there are people.
Being able to read is a fair requirement or employment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you are able-bodied and of sound mind, I think you should be able. You should have to be able to read. I think probably for.
I'm not looking down on non-readers. I'm just saying, you know, I understand why a place of employment would want that or require it.
Seems like if you gotta like check your emails, you probably want to be able to read.
Sure.
Yeah. But you know, there is actually a surprising amount of people. Like when I read at one point the extra text says Brandon can't read not since the accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I got, you know, it was a book accident.
Yeah,
got banned from the library.
Yeah. when you fought all those books in hand-to-hand combat.
It was like that old Macaulay Culkin movie.
The Page
The
Master.
Page Master.
Austin and I watched the trailer for that, or the little Amazon preview the other day.
I watched it when I was a kid. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I actually never watched it. I think I remember a PC game that was like a little side-scrolling platformer thingy. That's all I remember from it.
I think Leonard Nimoy did a book voice in it. That's one thing I remember for some reason.
If anyone's gonna be a paint makes the book, says Zone Dog. But yeah, if you're gonna have Leonard Nimoy, or if you're gonna have somebody voice a book, Leonard Nimoy's a good choice, I think.
Yeah, he gives off lots of book energy.
He does give off book energy. Gives off big book energy.
Or did. Rip Torn in Peace.
Oh, Rip Torn in Peace.
Leonard Nimoy.
One of those guys who, still to this day, people still have say cool things about him, and no one's come forward and been like, what a creep. So I think that's cool. You don't get that very often anymore.
True. He made it to the finish line without being canceled. And also he lived through a time where you're just allowed to be
a real piece of shit sometimes.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Extra Attack says, wait, no, Zone Dog says, kid can't go cartoon. Yeah.
There you go. You heard the man.
And then Extra Attack says, the part where all the paintings start to melt and flood the library, that scared me so much as a kid. That's exactly the preview, the part that the Apple TV or whatever service Austin was using. That's exactly
Page Master comes from this weird era of the 90s when animation, there was like, I don't know if there were studios that were making feature film cartoons that weren't by Disney that were just like a little bit like strange, like We're Back and Page Master and All Dogs Go to Heaven, where it's just like weird shit, like feels like a fever dream type thing.
And like people were a lot less afraid to traumatize children in their media back in the day.
Sure. It's like, fuck it, they're kids.
Yeah, fuck it, they're scared of everything anyways.
Ship it.
Put in the dragon that eats children.
They'll love it.
They'll fucking, even if they're scared, they'll never forget this fucking movie for the rest of their lives.
Tell them it happens if they don't, like, clean the room or something. It's fine.
Yeah. This is a cautionary tale. Yeah, Page Master. That movie did exist. That was definitely, like Roger Rabbit had clearly just come out, and, like, it was pre-Space Jam, so, like, studios were like, oh, we gotta cash in on this live action meets animation.
If anybody in the chat remembers, does it meld together that much? I think a lot of it is one or the other.
I think there's a transitory period where like CGI paint fills the library and turns Macaulay Culkin into like this weird lipped child. And I don't think, but like, you know, it's sort of that combination. It's sort of like it's as like animation meets live action as like Osmosis Jones, where there's just like those scenes of Bill Murray being fucking gross. And
he was so gross on that.
So gross. We watched a little bit of Osmosis Jones last week or something like that. Austin had it on, and he was just like, let's watch some Osmosis Jones. And we were like, okay. And then, yeah. Bill Murray was super gross in it, and they kept making Osmosis Jones do like these really creepy grins where he's just like,
ugh.
Yeah, it's not good. It's like how I used to smile for yearbook photos in 5th grade and shit.
Where does the friggin' web come from? Where's it supposed to come from? I know he has shooters, or there's weird
wrists.
Tobey Maguire, who actually just shoots web out of his body.
Yeah, but, it's either web shooters or on his wrists,
but are they
like wrist holes.
Underneath the hand or behind your hand?
It's like right here.
Okay.
Crazy Kyle says, I can't stop bringing that up. I can't. His penis. You know, I love my friends, but sometimes I do not understand what they're saying in the chat. Whose penis? Bill Murray's penis?
Is Bill Murray's penis in Osmosis Zone?
I don't think so. God, I hope not.
There's the whole deleted scene where they're in his nuts.
Yeah. Oh. Man, it's a good thing we made this trip down to the balls. Look at all this pee in here.
I'm glad you did that without doing a Chris Rock impression.
Oh yeah, no, I would no. I'll do a Chris Tucker impression for the wrestling stream, but I won't do a Chris Rock impression because his voice is a lot more nuanced.
Yeah, he's got like, yeah.
Like here's the
It's
thing.
unique.
When I do Chris Tucker, I'm basically going for like a squeaky, like high pitched voice. I'm not actually trying to do, and I'm just like saying lines they said, like put your shit in the back. But if I were, I couldn't imagine myself doing a good Chris Rock, let alone like attempting it. Like I just, it's not. There's a lot of subtlety in the Chris Rock voice.
Yeah.
It would just sound bad coming from me.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. You can do a David Hyde Pierce.
That's true. I can. Oh yes, I am in the. I actually thought that it was Kevin Connolly or the guy who plays Fish Odor in Bob's Burgers and like the one guy in A Fish Called Wanda. I thought it was that guy for a few minutes until we looked it up and found out it was David Hyde Pierce, and then I was like, oh yeah. Frasier. Kyle says, "Here's why I'm not a racist." Yeah, I did say that. That is this. This is the Ian Newton apology tour. Every episode is just a new apology tour.
You have to apologize for the previous episode.
Yeah, hi guys. Welcome to the next episode of DrawBomb. First of all, I just want to apologize for the previous episode of DrawBomb. Anyways, let's get right into it.
I thought the Chris Rock impression was nuanced. Sorry.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to say all those words. Sorry, I said the N-word 500 times in the span of 2 minutes.
I really shouldn't have redeemed those channel points for that challenge.
Yeah. Why did we put that as a redemption?
It was a mistake. In hindsight, it's clearly a mistake.
God. My bad. Jeez, can you get off my case?
Ian.
Yes, Brandon.
What are we drawing here?
Oh my gosh. Well, we should talk about it. We're a little bit behind on the craze. Now like a new movie has come out that is definitely the talk of the town, but let's talk about Fast X.
Oh yeah.
Because fucking A, I've been wanting to have this conversation for a minute. We actually haven't like really voice chatted too like aside from doing the empty head buffet, which is like pure business.
We've been busy.
Yeah.
But you know, things are getting back to normal.
Yeah, you are how on a scale of like, well, on a percentage basis, how done with moving would you say you are?
I would say like 80%, 80 to 90%. We were like very quick about getting we've gotten it like so all the spaces are like set up and livable, but like we gotta like the garage is filled with crap that we gotta go through. The cupboards have some stuff in them from when her grandpa used to live here, so we gotta go through some stuff. But it's pretty much we're good to go. It's at least a functioning house. We're not like living out of boxes anymore, so that's nice.
Okay. So like yours, like, so you have to go through it's kind of a somber process, but going through the grandfather stuff. But how much of your stuff is like carried over?
All of it. We're out of the other place.
You're 100% moved in my opinion. Then you're good.
Oh well, no, I feel like a big part of it is then not having just a mountain of like your stuff and like piled in the garage. You know.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I want to get things put in their place and like
So you wanna be like the opening.
All my items are at this house, so that part, yes, that part's done.
So you want to be like the opening of Radiohead's Kid A, and you want everything in its right place. Sure. That's right, folks. I'm bringing back the Radiohead jokes. We're doing it again.
Bringing them back. When were they here before?
I did it once, and then I used it as a highlight when I was trying to like.
Gotcha.
Do the highlights for the show. Anyways.
What'd you think of Fast X?
God, I fucking loved it.
I loved it too. It was great.
when we were going into it, I was like, you know, we've had a lot of time to consider the Fast franchise,
Yes.
the Fast franchise, I think is a great way to call it.
Yeah, let's just go with that.
The Fast and the franchisiest.
Yeah.
And about
we were worried about this one because we did say that the odd ones typically aren't very good.
Yeah, it's like the Star Trek movies.
Great.
The odd ones are always considered pretty shitty.
Yeah.
Or no, I think the even ones were. It's the even ones. The odd ones are good because you always start with 1, which is a good one. Then 2 is bad, 3 is good, 4. That's usually how it goes, and that's sort of how it was with the Fast franchise as well. 5 was good. I mean, 1 is obviously the beginner of the series. Tokyo Drift, in my opinion, is decent and fun.
Yeah.
I like all of them, in all honesty. I think I like them all. Maybe 6 is my least favorite, I would say.
It's hard to keep track. They all blend. I mean, I don't remember what happens in which because they all just blend together a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do know there are some ups and downs.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't mind 2. I think 2 might actually be the worst. 2 is pretty lackluster. 2 is fine.
2 is pretty. Yeah, it doesn't really have any. Like, okay, so at least the bad ones later on have like the crazy shit going on as like a bonus. But this one's kind of grounded and also boring. So it's not a very good one.
Yeah, 2 is before. Like, 2 is when they're still trying to ride the cop angle and they still haven't quite figured out like what direction they're actually going to take the series. But yeah, so the even numbers were always kind of lackluster at the very least, compared to the amazing odd ones like 7 and 5 and, in our opinion, 9. People hated on 9, but I think that
I loved a 9.
I thought 9 was great, but like people, I had read reviews from people who were like, man, I love the Fast franchise. 7's great because it's so ridiculous. 9's bad. It's too ridiculous or some shit like that.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the ridiculous as long as I've found as long as it has the like bro drama in it.
Yes.
The ridiculousness is okay. It like needs that balance.
You need that drama. You need that melodrama. I would call it melodrama more than regular drama. But you gotta have it, or else like that's the thing is it's like the Sharknado movies. It's because it's obvious that they're like taking the piss and having fun. It's almost like they become unfun because they're like, get it? They're in on the joke. Like,
yeah.
I think the Fast franchise, like watching Fast 10, it feels like everyone's in on the joke except for Vin Diesel, and that's like the right balance.
The writers are in on the joke, but they do a good job of playing it like they are not. Like they're trying to make a serious thing. I
think Vin Diesel's the writer, isn't he?
I'm sure he has a say in it, but I don't think he's sitting down at his typewriter and fucking penning the.
True. I mean, the man plays D&D. He could
puts on some Rihanna. He pours himself a glass of bourbon, and he starts typing away at his old typewriter.
And then he.
I hope that's the truth. But
I hope that's. I feel like that's partially true, at least. I feel like he definitely.
I made this comparison off the stream, but it feels like a successful version of like The Room's backstory. Like Tommy Wiseau basically made this movie to like as a puff piece for like himself.
Yeah.
And he's like, once upon a time there was a great guy that everyone loved. Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious, it's kind of that way too, where it's like, once upon a time there was the strongest man ever, who everybody thought was the coolest guy ever. He drove cars really fast. Like there was a scene in the newest one where Vin Diesel pulls up to like a street race and he just gets out of his car and like 1,000 people just start cheering for him, and he's like, he like has that in his contract.
Oh, absolutely. Like there was a moment in the towards the end. Are we okay with spoilers now? The movie's been out for a little bit. Fast 10 your seatbelts.
I think some light spoilers are okay.
Yeah, they should have definitely named it Fast 10 their seatbelts. Fast X is like the biggest bummer I think of the whole movie is the title.
They missed an opportunity.
But yeah, so there's a point towards the end where John Cena, who is now fully part of the family, and by the way, the storyline with him taking the kid on like the cross country trip, surprisingly, it was weird, but it was also surprisingly charming. I felt.
Okay,
like
I liked it. The only thing that felt weird to me was the previously like the character they wrote in the last movie was not the same John Cena we
He
saw
did
in
a
this
complete
movie.
180. He went from being like, I'm gonna hunt Dom down till he's fucking dead and I live in a fucking sewer. My life is hell. And then in this one, he's like wearing shorts. He's like, hey, buddy, let's go. We're gonna go get some fun shorts.
He had the kid-friendly, like family-friendly B-side story.
Yes, he did.
Like his B-side story was basically just like him hanging out with this kid and they're bonding and having fun. And all the jokes are like very like they were
tame and cute.
Fun, but they were tame. Yeah, there's like jokes about like, oh, don't swear and stuff like that. Like it felt like a family
movie almost.
If you edited everything else out of the movie, yeah, John Cena and little B felt like a like a family movie.
Yeah, it did. It really did feel like a family movie, which is fine because like since it's like the scenes involving the kid, it kind of fits with the vibe. I did find it like surprisingly charming. Like I was like, this shouldn't work, but honestly, it's kind of fun watching like this because I'm also a sucker for like the person who's like the character who's had it rough, kind of getting and like who's like an edgelord, kind of being exposed to happiness and like learning to not be an edgelord. I'm a sucker for that kind of storyline. So that was kind of like the arc that John Cena's character was going through, because he does come in like murdering like 8 government agents in like the first scene, and then the rest of the movie he's like family friendly, fun time kid.
Yeah.
But it was surprisingly charming. I was like, damn it, why is this cute? And then
it worked.
Maybe it's because I've decided to completely give myself in to the series. Like you do have to make a conscious choice to like give yourself to the series when you watch them. Like you can't, like if you come in like a fucking movie reviewer trying to look for like, oh, the plot was not strong here, this, that, like you will not have you're in the wrong movie. So you have to give yourself in. So this is definitely like an effect of like the brainwashing I've essentially done to myself to enjoy the series. But the scene where like the kid hugs John Cena and goes, I love you, Uncle John Cena. I forget his fucking character's name. I kind of felt feelings there for a little bit, because I was just like, he's never had a family. He's got a fucking family now.
Plus, every time he's at actual home, it's like fucked up. Like somebody comes down the driveway and they're like, get in the wall or something like that, like a safe room or something. Like his life is people are out to murder him.
Yeah. I gotta take off my hoodie. I'm sweating. So yeah, like that whole arc was more charming than it really had any right to be. And again, that's just because I fully programmed myself like to be part of the Fast cult.
There was the Fast movies had been going for a while when I was still thinking they were like dumb as shit, and that was without watching them. But also like I was just like, I remember when the one with the runway scene came out, and people were just like going off about the airplane runway that goes on forever. And at that point, I was just like, that sounds so stupid. Like, I hadn't yet seen the light. You know,
I'm trying to think of when I think we saw the light briefly, like with months to spare before 9 came out. I think that's when we got converted.
We watched the whole thing when you were over.
Yeah.
Or at least that's when I watched it.
That's the first time I saw them. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was. That's right.
Yeah.
That's fun. I forgot about that detail.
So, we converted together. And
we Texas, without any context, this all sounds hog fucking wild. Yeah. One comparison I've been telling people about, because I've been talking about this movie to some people.
Nice.
And this is one little spoiler I'm going to give, but
go for it.
Just here's a comparison. In the first Fast and Furious movie, they were stealing DVD players. Okay? In the latest movie, Vin Diesel drives his car into a crane, using it, then spinning it around so like it's like a golf club to knock a like gigantic like borderline nuclear bomb away from the Vatican. That is the scene that happens in the newest one.
That is the scene. That is that is not an exaggeration. That is exactly
that is exactly what happened.
A moment that happens in the movie.
Saves the Vatican from a rolling bomb. And that bomb just had so much momentum. Holy shit, it just kept rolling.
Well, it's funny because they have that moment where they think they've solved it, and then like it gets rolling again, and it's like it never stopped. It just has all the fucking momentum. Like it's like the moment it hit
once
a
it starts
2%
rolling,
downgrade, it fucking hits like terminal velocity.
I could have easily like just said like it's some machine that rolls.
Yeah.
That's all they had to say, and it would have been acceptable because it's equally crazy to everything else. But like, I mean, John Cena has like a kayak jet.
That's true. He does. This like, movie does straight up enter science fiction. Like,
yeah.
There was not a degree of plausibility to the previous movies, but like the tech, I guess the last one also had like those giant fucking like 8, 9.
Yeah.
8, I think they devolved into pure science fiction. Like 7, you know, it was pretty ridiculous, but like they weren't like quite there yet. Then Hobbs and Shaw came out, and like Idris Elba is literally a super soldier like on a serum, which is science fiction.
He's a cyborg, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know. I actually haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw yet.
Oh, you haven't?
It's the one I haven't seen. Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
I know.
Why not?
Just hasn't. I haven't had a group of people to watch it with.
All right, noted.
We were gonna do it like we were trying to get through the Fast series before we got to X, but things happened and people stopped being on Discord for a while.
We almost made it. We were halfway through 9, I think.
We were halfway through 9, I believe. Yeah. Which technically we should have probably watched Hobbs and Shaw first.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. But yeah, so where were we? The series has completely entered science fiction. Like there's a fucking robot. More spoilers. We're just gonna enter spoiler territory. So if you don't want to watch the movie, probably come back 10. I couldn't see us talking about this for longer than 15 minutes.
No, I think we're almost through it.
Yeah. But there's a fucking robot that's like a spider that's a healing robot, just like will just laser up your wounds and like no
that's
scar.
Right. I forgot about that.
Which is used to great effect in a fight scene later on.
And it's in a lab in the middle of Antarctica.
Yes. So like we've completely entered science fiction territory in this movie, and that's fine. You know, I'm okay with that. Like at least we're at like. I do think it's probably funnier if we pretend like we're grounded in reality and then having all this ridiculous shit happen, but also I'm okay with us like kind of lifting the veil and being like, nah, this shit's stupid. Like there's a robot that heals people, whatever. But yeah, complete science fiction in the movie now. Like we're not even trying to pretend like we're in the real world anymore. There's a giant room that's just like a fucking like wall of screens that make no like that screen room makes no sense in the best kind of way. Like they're like trying to do a mission briefing and it's like, okay, look at this screen, now turn a complete 180, look at this map over here, and then make sure you look
that
completely
room
straight up.
I was laughing at that room in the theater. I'm like,
so
why is
funny.
this why do they have this? This is a waste of tax dollars.
Yeah, it's such a waste of money. It's completely like, isn't it easier to just have all the screens? Like
it was straight up like the room that like Professor X goes into to like read minds from across the world type thing. Like that big, what do they call that room?
Shit.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but there's this big dramatic room where you go across a bridge and he sits in this thing. It's like big like science fiction like tube. It looks like the room where the screens were in. Basically.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like the mind
yeah.
When he shouts,
he's able to read.
He mind shouts.
Speak to mutants from across the world or wherever.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact name for that, but there is a word. But yeah, like the mind megaphone, I'm gonna call it.
Extra Tech RPG says, I mean, when I broke my pelvis in half, a robot did my whole surgery, so healing robots aren't that wild. That's true.
It's true, but you did have to like recover for probably at least a month.
They don't have insta-heal capabilities yet.
Yeah. This robot like straight up like it lasered like Michelle Rodriguez's like arm wound and then like closed it up, and like there was no stitches, there was no scarring. It was just like CGI a wound closing, and then just like, you know, they took the channel out from the mat.
Pretty sick.
It's pretty sweet, dude. But yeah, that fucking screen room
that exists in the Shadow Labs in the middle of Antarctica.
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
Okay, 3-month turnaround for actually 3 months is still a lot less than I expected for a broken pelvis. That's pretty medical technology. I am glad to hear that I have heard the story of the broken pelvis incident, and I am glad that Extra Attack is here to tell us of the story. Not that he has to tell the story, but I'm glad
on your recombined pelvis. Happy to hear that it is in the correct amount of pieces.
And the survival of the general incident. I'm happy.
Sure. Sure. Not trying to make light of it. Sorry.
Extra Attack says, I also just angered my way through physical therapy. That's true. That's what The Rock did. He flexed a cast off in 7. And
he did.
One of my favorite
Daddy
moments.
had to go to work.
Tiny's got to go to work. That movie has 2 amazing Rock moments. Not to go away from Fast X, but go back to Fast 7 for a second, which is probably one of the best in the series, if not the best. But there's 3 amazing Rock moments in that series. One, in the prison escape, when the guy comes up and he's just like, "Oh, Hobbs, I've been waiting years to do," or Shaw. Is he Shaw or is he Hobbs? I forget.
He's Hobbs, I think.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, Hobbs, I've been waiting years to get my vengeance on you." And then The Rock just like grabs the guy by the shoulders and goes, keep waiting, bitch. And they just fucking throws him. It's so good.
He throws him like a 300-pound man. He throws him like across the wall and into like cement, I think.
Yeah, it's so, and like the delivery is just the timing is impeccable of the keep waiting, bitch.
Yeah,
it's so fucking funny. It's so good. Next is The Rock saying Daddy's got to go to work and flexing a whole cast off of his arm.
I'm assuming his arm was broken, right?
Yeah,
that's the only reason you get a cast. So
yeah,
he just healed his arm by flexing really hard.
And then third best moment is like 5 minutes later, he just picks up a whole chain gun and just shoots it at has a shoot off with a helicopter. It's so cool. It's great.
I kind of want to mention one more Rock moment, but I don't know if it's too spoilery.
From the newest one?
Whatever, we're doing spoilers.
Yeah, we're in spoilers. Plug your ears extra hard if you really want to know about if you want to watch Fast X first. Sorry, go ahead.
After the credits, they basically reveal that The Rock is back, or at least he's getting another spin-off movie. I'm not sure. They might do it that way because apparently him and Vin Diesel don't like working together. But
true.
And that's honestly might be what happens because they kind of set it up in like a way that maybe everything that he's going through is happening while the movie you just watched was occurring. You know, kind of like a B-side story type thing that you didn't see. Anyways, there's a scene where Vin Diesel gets his family threatened, and that's kind of like the whole driving force of the movie. And anyways, in the after credit scene, it cuts to The Rock getting the same threat towards his family, and the phone he receives it on, it's like a cell phone. He just like faces the camera, and they reveal The Rock's back, and then he like crushes the phone like it's made out of like cake or something like that.
That's so good.
Demolishes it, like it turns to dust. It's awesome.
And like I gotta say, in the first of all, okay, Fast X had like they called it was the 10th Fast and the Furious movie because there are literally like 10 plot threads that are happening like at the same time in this movie that have all gone unresolved. Like there's like 9 different characters who have like different things going on, and they're just like so they'll like introduce a character who's been in the series before in a scene, then they're gonna say I'm off to go do this thing, and then we just didn't see them for the rest of the movie. Like, and my assumption is we'll find out. Yeah, they left the movie. Well, I'm assuming they 1 ran out of budget to have that person in more scenes, and then 2 that person's gonna be in the next movie when this movie earns its budget back. This
movie does end in a kind of like Endgame fashion. You know, the family's in trouble, and it's going to be resolved in the next film. So we do have to. Everybody's at their lowest low when the film ends.
They kind of like they ended it like that moment in Game of Thrones when the fucking dragons like break that dam that like the wall that everyone's on, and it's like, oh shit, like guess we'll find out next episode who lived through that.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out in what, like 2 years,
something like that. Yeah. Maybe shooting will go faster now that pandemic's pretty much over.
Yeah, but the writing strike is going on.
Oh shit! True. Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
I don't know. Does Vin Diesel write at his typewriter during the writer's strike? We don't know.
That's a great question. Yeah, the WGA strike is definitely gonna impact this movie. But just
all right, as it should.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fuck it. Like, the writers have been given a raw deal for too long. I read some I've thought about this, and like we talk about all these like trash shows that are on streaming that like nobody gives a fuck about, and I have to imagine it's because they hire writers for pennies on the dollar and give them like a shit deal, and
Absolutely.
then they're just they don't have to pay them enough because like streaming like prices are different. So
Why
like
should
if
anyone give a shit if they're not going to get paid?
so like I have to imagine if the like strike is successful, which God I hope it is, because there's a lot riding on it. But
I think it will be. I don't know how it couldn't be. Like they need them. Like without the writers, they have nothing.
It's going to be a war of attrition is the only thing, and it's like who's got more money and time to burn, the studios or the writers, and I don't know. But like also at the same time, the consequences for giving up are so dire for the writers. It's hard to imagine them like acquiescing at any point. Like it's almost like to the point where no deal is better than a deal that's favors the studios.
I think we'll get there because they're not paying them enough to even to do the job anyway. So if they lose, they quit being writers basically, because they can't afford to be writers.
Yeah.
And if it just seems like it'll be a holdout, but I think they're gonna win eventually.
Yeah, I just hope they get everything. I hope the writers get fucking everything.
They deserve it.
They absolutely deserve it. And I would like for like if the writers get paid better and the writers are compensated fairly for streaming services, I think that's going to have the bonus effect of you're going to get less shitty shows on your streaming services that are just filler, because now the writers actually have to get compensated for that show. And because they didn't have to pay royalties or like residuals or anything like that, essentially it was literally just like shovelware. Like it was just and like because if the writer strike is successful, the cost of making the shovelware is no longer good. I don't know how it is. So
a lot of the shows were designed to be thrown away for insurance,
Yeah. Extra text says writers also have a whole union backing them, so it's not like a bunch of broke writers hoping to take down Disney. And on top of that, if the strike holds up for like a couple more weeks, doesn't the Screen Actors Guild also go on strike then, because they have their own like deal that they need to get figured out too, and at that time, so like if the actors and the writers are both striking, like they can't just make reality shows to like
right, and the Teamsters all won't cross picket lines, so they don't have their like, even if they find some content they can make, there's nobody there to, unless the executives are out there moving shit around and doing like that like heavy lifting, nothing's happening.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. I really do. I'm rooting for the writers. I'm rooting for the Screen Actors Guild. I'm rooting for them all because the creative industries are very much at stake. But back to the fast talk. They'll just hire scabs. Yeah, I mean, for sure they'll hire scabs, but the scabs will only get you so far, I think, when it comes to such positions.
When it comes to writing, it's like scabs, it's gonna be not as good quality,
It's not gonna be as good. I mean,
you get what you pay for, and in this industry, like having content that people want to watch is important.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen some of the schlock that's been put on streaming services, and so it's not like the scabs producing subpar content is the big worry. But I think it's a matter of like
padding though, just to make their service look like it has a lot of content when it only has like a few good shows. And I think without the few good shows, the padding, no one gives a shit about it.
It is, yeah, but I think like for instance, if Netflix announced like a new season of Stranger Things was coming out in a week in the middle of the writer strike, and like scabs all wrote it. Not that that's plausible, obviously, but in this scenario, they would still get the numbers. They would still get some numbers. They probably wouldn't get quite the numbers once like the reviews would come out and people would be like, this fucking show sucks. But they would still probably pull numbers at least, and that's really all they need, is they need to pull some numbers to buy their cars and shit like that. But I think the other thing is like making a show is a complicated ass process with a lot of moving parts, and I don't think a scab is going to have the experience or the backing that would be required to make any of that go well.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see. It's all we're gonna see.
Shall see. I'm gonna open my window real quick. It's hot in here.
All right. Yeah, it's very hot in here as well.
Into this room. Like
I've been
banging
sweating.
on the door. The Roomba's trying to get in.
Been sweating like crazy. I might open a window myself.
Just turn the air, but whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, this room does not get air conditioning.
Leave me alone, Roomba.
Oh no, he's getting attacked. I'm gonna start making a little explosion behind him.
Roomba's like, knock, knock, let me in.
Hey, buddy.
I want to
I heard you had some dirt. Another thing I wanted to talk about, Fast X. I would love to see the Red Letter Media crew review it, just because.
Yeah.
There's that one video that they put out where it's like, it was, I think, in reference to just in general sequels bringing back dead characters or bringing back dead actors, like Star Wars and things like that. And the whole video is just like clips of either dead actors being put into new movies or dead characters being brought back for a sequel. And then it's just Mike Stacklasa going, nobody's ever really gone. And I feel like they could do that with, like, they could make at least a 3-minute video just with Fast X alone with that trope.
Yeah, it's the whole Paul Walker stuff is strange. I don't know what the right solution is. It's kind of, they kind of wrote themselves into a weird situation, but
yeah. I mean, they didn't bring, they just used like footage from Fast 5, and that they didn't bring bodies, they didn't face swap his brother in for Paul Walker or anything like that. So it's not quite as egregious as maybe 7 had to pull off in order to make it work, but you know, still. But yeah, like fucking, so who's, first of all, they keep saying that Mr. Nobody's gone, aka
he's not.
He's not. He's gonna fucking come back.
They keep saying he's missing, which means he'll be back.
Yeah, Kurt Russell's gonna come back.
If he was dead, they would like claim that, but they're saying he's just like MIA.
Yeah. His daughter, who is played by Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. Yeah. She's a new character, which she didn't get too much to do, unfortunately. But she got to shoot a gun.
She was in a decent amount compared to some other people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the girl that also like the serendipity in the movie is off the charts, because like Vin Diesel goes to that street race and just happens to meet the sister of his dead wife.
Yeah.
Who I think is played by Paul Walker's actual daughter.
Was it you that told me that? Because I did hear that somewhere else.
I may have told you that. I heard that originally from the person running the concession stand at the movie theater we went to. She was like, hey.
Oh, well, okay, yes, I did hear it from you.
Yeah. Which I think I looked it up and I confirmed that fact after the movie was over, because I didn't want to look it up before the movie, obviously. But I think that is confirmed. I think that is, in fact, his daughter. Which she did a fine job. I mean, she's a better actor than Paul Walker.
Yeah, most people are.
Yeah, it's not a high bar, but cool.
Oh, Paul Walker. I'm sorry. I guess I'm shitting on. I thought you said Vin Diesel, but
Oh no, no one's a better actor than Vin Diesel. I believed him for every moment in that movie. Like, say what you want about Vin Diesel's, maybe his actual, like, the result of his acting, he gives himself fully to his roles. Like, I don't ever get the sense that he was, he gave a half-assed take or something like that. I mean, all of his takes...
when he said, I am Groot, I thought he really was, you know?
Yeah. And then, Extra Tax says, remember in the first movie when the big competition was called Race Wars? Yeah, when we were watching the series over again and that popped up, we were just like, oof. Oof. Big oof.
Maybe not the best name.
That's a super 2001 joke to make back when everyone was like back when the internet was like first burgeoning and like comedy was essentially an arms race to say the most offensive thing you could.
Yeah, that's changed now. They don't do that anymore.
No. Now we punch up. But yeah, I do remember that, and I remember thinking like, damn. I'm glad. Like they do go to a new. I think they go to a. They don't call it Race Wars, obviously, but they do have.
No, they had the good nature to not make that mistake again.
I don't know if that's the last time that name pops up in the series, though. In the like, if it's just the first movie, or if maybe there's another one. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's definitely definitely like it's a clever name maybe for a racing competition, but definitely it's no, don't.
It's kind of funny. I mean, it's not.
It's very funny.
I guess
I'm not gonna lie.
In hindsight, it's not really like offensive to any specific person or group, right? It's just kind of like a weird.
It's just like a weird to conjure. It's like weird.
Like, yeah,
it's weird imagery to conjure
in my
up.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah. It is. But yeah, it's not like an explicitly offensive joke. It's just. It's like. Yeah. It's just not. It's not the best look. But yeah, no one's truly dead. Gal Gadot is back. We saw her get run over by a fucking like airplane or some shit.
Giant airplane.
She's fine. She's good. And like also,
and she knows how to drive a nuclear sub.
She can drive a nuclear submarine. I'm sure she's got a crew. But also, does that mean that she's a bad guy now? Because
I don't know. Why is she hanging? I mean, how long has she been with Cypher? And
yeah.
Cypher was fucking around last movie already.
Cypher was around last week. Cypher wasn't even a good guy in this movie. Cypher was just a bad guy who was in the same boat as Vin Diesel because of the bad guy of the movie. Like for all and like, I loved their fight scene in the medical facility. I thought that was actually a lot of fun. I did enjoy how every single character got a fight. Everyone got to punch.
Yeah. They gave everybody their scene.
It was actually
kind of interesting.
Sorry,
how there's a scene where they're in the medical facility and they drug all the guards, knock them out, and then it's her and the bad guy, and they're like, "We're escaping together." Is kind of the idea you get. And like, and she's like, "We have 4 minutes to get out of here before the guards arrive," and she's like, "That's enough." And then they like kick each other's ass, and it's fun. They go through a lot of windows,
and also
shoot robot lasers at each other.
They shoot, but it doesn't make any sense because then it shows them after the fight and they're just like sitting there huffing and puffing, and it's like, did y'all finish the fight and like sit there huffing? Like I feel like the fight lasted that time limit that they mentioned, and then they're sitting there huffing and puffing like scenes later, and I'm assuming that's like within that has to be within the time limit, and then she like climbs up the vent and then climbs back down the vent. And it's like, okay, well, surely the scientists have woken up by this point. You gave a time limit.
That was exactly what the point I was trying to make. She crawled. She like, no, I'm not trying to like. It's okay that you're saying it instead of me. I just to add to it. Yeah, she scales up this vent, and it's like a scene where it's like hard. It's like almost like slipping down. It's just like a tube, like a straight up 90-degree tube.
Yeah.
It's like pushing against the sides. She barely makes it up, finds out her surroundings. They're in the middle of Antarctica, so she like comes back down. And when she gets back down, Cypher is woken back up and is like, they're like in like a snowsuit ready to go, and has one for her. And they're like, hey, how's it going? All right, let's get out of here together, I guess. And but it's like, okay, it's been like a half hour now. You said 4 minutes. Why'd you say? They didn't have to say 4 minutes. They chose to say 4 minutes.
They could have said like an hour.
Oh, we killed them.
Yeah.
They're all gone. We got them all.
The way you could like sort of hand wave it is be like, they just ran the gas again.
Yeah, that's a lot on neurotoxin for one.
That's
poor scientist's brain.
Scientists wake up is like, I can't speak.
It's like the scene from Community where they chloroform a guard, and then he wakes up and they chloroform again.
Yeah.
And then one of them comments like, "How many? I don't think it's safe to do it that many times to somebody," or something like that.
Yeah. Extra text says, if it was an accident, it's hilarious. If it was on purpose, it's oof. I mean, I can't see how it would be.
There's no way it's an accident.
Accident, like half the people who were going to the race war in that movie looked like they would participate in a real race war. Like, that's what a lot of the clientele. Like, I mean, when you think about who Vin Diesel, like that one greasy dude who's like the good bad guy, and who's like part of Vin Diesel, who gets like his arm all fucked up from the grapple hook, and they have to call like 911 for. Like, he looks like he's not super, not racist.
The fair point.
Yeah, there's a lot. They're in Florida, I think, or no, they go to Florida for 2. I don't know where they are, and I think they're in Los Angeles. I forget. Anyways, point is, there's no way it wasn't. I have a hard time believing it wasn't intentional. But anyways, yeah, the neurotoxin gas was funky. A lot of the rhythm of Fast X was like, we're in this new place. We gotta knock on this guy's door. Knock on the door. Oh shit, gotta fight people for 5 minutes. All right, we finished fighting that thing. Let's continue where we were doing.
Yeah, that is the movie, which I was okay with.
No, I'm fucking.
Always fun.
Because the fight scenes were well done. Like, they were well done fight scenes, so I can't be mad. I
liked when John Cena threw a man through the floor.
That was pretty fun. Yeah, the camera movement.
Through a floor.
Like, the camera movement was so kinetic in this movie. Like, non-stop, like, just, like, it was like a fucking Sam Raimi film. Like, the camera was just, like, zooming and panning and just fall. Like, when Vin Diesel turns on the NOS and it's like a 3D animation of, like, his shoulder down to, like,
scene was that was so... I laughed and clapped at that. It, like, freezes time. So, I wanted to bring this up, so thank you for mentioning that.
Absolutely.
It freezes time. And then little B, which is Vin Diesel's son, is like frozen, like, ah! And there's like an explosion happening behind them, and they're all like still. And then the camera does this 3D like pan where it like goes across, like down Vin Diesel's like arm, like down like a vein, like down his like, muscle arm to the like where he's like pressing the NOS button. And it's just like over the top for no reason at all. And something that was also great about it is, so are we to believe that Vin Diesel moves faster than time? Because everything else was frozen, including an explosion, but Vin Diesel was pressing the NOS. He like was like moving while the world was frozen. That would explain a lot about the things he's accomplished. Maybe he has like Nicolas Cage next powers or something. That would explain a lot too.
They also, NOS is a combustible gas. Like you're activating NOS, you're setting fire to the gas in the canister, and the fire is shooting out the ass of the canister to make you go faster. It's propelling you. So he turns on the NOS while the car is like, especially the back of the car, is half engulfed in flame.
Yes. NOS is Vin Diesel's anime power-ups, like ability.
It really
that he
is.
can only use like there's a cooldown, and then he can use it.
And the NOS is also immune to the effects of the environment around it.
It gets him out of every pinch. Just gotta smack the NOS.
I will say, when it's that scene, and right before this moment we're talking about,
a line,
and Vin Diesel says, "You forgot to take my car," I was in the theaters. Yes,
right.
You should have taken it.
That's where his powers are sourced from. I mean, we did see him pull down a ceiling in the last movie with like chains, like a big like factory, like yanked the ceiling down. So he does have some superhuman strength, but it's intensified when he has a car. His powers are intensified.
And in fact, those two powers actually linked up when Vin Diesel lifted a car with like one arm.
One arm.
Yeah.
One arm. After bending a piece of rebar.
Yes. And also getting shot, I think.
Yeah.
So amazing.
He picks up a car with one arm, bends a piece of rebar to press it against the gas pedal, and then sets the car down, and it like drives into a bunch of guys.
Yeah. When we say pick up a car, it sounds like it could be like he lifts it above it. He doesn't. He just like, it's flipped over, and he manages to flip it.
It's on its side.
It. Yeah.
It's on its side, or was it completely flipped upside down?
Either one's ridiculous.
I think it was,
in all honesty.
I think it was on its side. It's on its side, and he like reaches down, and he's not even lifting it like straight on with his like biceps. He's lifting backwards, like his tries, so that he's lifting the car with, because he's
he's been doing.
He wants
dips.
to show that he doesn't only work out the glamour muscles,
Yeah.
And he lifts this car. It's a great scene.
So good. And
then the car crashes into non-family.
That's right. Yes. And I did enjoy how the guy from Blue Mountain State.
Was he the agent?
Yeah, he's the agent. Yeah, he's the crazy guy from Blue Mountain. Have you ever watched Blue Mountain State?
No.
It's quite a show. I'm not sure if it holds up, but it's definitely like the guy who was the agent in this movie. He was by far the like one of the best parts of the show. There's like 3 characters I think in Blue Mountain State who are really fun, and then the rest is kind of just whatever. But he's like the best. He's like one of the best parts about Blue Mountain State because he's just like this insane jock who's like screaming all the time, and when it's like he does like high pitched screams and like yelps and stuff. He's a ridiculous character. So it's actually funny to see him be so serious when his like and going like, oh yeah, you think you're so fun, you think everyone's family dumb, and then in like Blue Mountain State, it's like, oh my god. Sorry for everyone's ears. I'm very sorry for everyone's ears.
I don't know what his name was, but he definitely was the most like self-aware person in the movie. He kept mentioning things like, these guys, when they're behind the wheel, they can defy physics, gravity. Like he's saying this shit. Like, hey man, shh. You're not supposed to say that.
It's fucking giving the game away, man. I thought he was great. I thought he was great as in general. I thought he was a lot of fun. Like he didn't do anything crazy, or he wasn't like a wild personality, but I thought he brought the right amount of gravitas to the role, where he didn't like draw attention. He wasn't like, I felt like he I don't know how you feel about that.
He's a giant man, so it was fun watching him just like throw people around and stuff, just like all the other big muscle man. Every big muscle man in the movies, they give superhuman strength, like where they just like John Cena's introduction is, there's a fight happening, and you see a man fly across the room and slam into the wall like he was thrown by a silverback gorilla or something. Yeah. And then John Cena enters the room, and it's like,
it's so
I think
good.
there's like a Wilhelm scream too.
There is a Wilhelm scream. Yeah, I remember hearing it and being like, yes,
it's just,
this movie's gonna be amazing.
It's funny how these people, whenever Vin Diesel or The Rock or John Cena, I think and this new guy throws somebody, they use a wire to throw them. Like that's how far they can go. Throw them like a football, perfect spiral and all.
It's amazing. I just thought he brought the right amount of gravitas to the role. He wasn't like a crazy, like I thought Jason Momoa also, like I haven't been thrilled with Jason Momoa in a lot of his roles.
He might be great, but I haven't seen him in much that impressed me. Yeah.
Like he was kind of playing a similar character in that shitty Nemo in Slumberland movie that came out on Netflix earlier this year. But he was way better in I actually really enjoyed him in this movie as basically the Joker.
Yeah, he was the Joker. That's the only part that kind of took me out of it. Is I'm like, okay, he's trying to do the Joker, but it's not as good. But he was good.
He was doing the Joker, but a little more flamboyant, which I thought was a good direction to take it. It was more fun.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure from like the trailers and the commercials, like I thought I was gonna be fucking sick of him by the time the movie was over. But no, I actually really thought he did a great job. I thought I enjoyed his performance.
Yeah, it was definitely better than I was expecting. I was expecting it to very much dislike his character.
Yeah. But no, he was great.
He was pretty good. Yeah.
I feel like that scene with him painting the toenails of like the dead dudes was felt like they threw that, like he was just like fucking around, and like they threw that in there because they were like, oh, Jason Momoa is having a good time, why not?
Support him.
Yeah. And now, you know what, I'm here for it because that was a fucking great scene. I thought that scene was very funny. I liked his outfits too. I mean, I liked that he like was just like dressed entirely differently in like a new style every single scene.
He was definitely peacocking.
Yes, which I think either you or Austin told me where like he based his performance on a peacock.
Oh, that's right, he did do that. That was Austin. That's where I heard that.
Yeah. And he nailed it, and I thought it was fun. He was not annoying, and that's the biggest praise I can give for like the the very eccentric villain.
Hard to pull that off. I mean, especially for how eccentric he was being, because he was like, there was even like I still liked him, but there was a scene or two where like it was unnecessary. Like he steps out of a car and he's like, haha, and has to do like a little skip, and it's like, you don't have to do it every time, man. I get what you're doing, but there could be times when you don't do it.
There was not a moment where he wasn't bringing that like energy, and I enjoyed it. His like, there's no way like his plans were ever actually like working out. Like he's always like Vin Diesel would like kill all of his armed guards and then like drive a car and like almost kill Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa would be like, haha, just what I planned. It's like,
right.
All right, dude.
Everybody just claims to like be 1,000 steps ahead. That's just how these things work.
Yeah, you gotta pretend like there's a Xanatos gambit going on, and like the villain's just like everything is just another thread that the villain's pulling or some shit like that. But it was fun.
Diesel's like, hold on, and then does something that there's no way you could anticipate what's about to happen.
Yeah. It's like, well, good thing I thought that would happen. Here I go. Tyrese was a lot less annoying in this movie, I thought.
Yeah.
Normally, I would say, like, in general, the humor just doesn't work in these movies. Especially so. Tyrese.
Like him and Ludacris have like a back and forth. Like they're always giving each other shit, and it's never really that funny.
Yeah. I think Ludacris is definitely selling it better than Tyrese, because I think Ludacris seems to actually just be like genuinely talented as an actor, actually. Like I feel like he's good. He's like pretty good.
Yeah.
I just love Ludacris. I mean, after that Hulk Hands music video. Oh yeah, Pete Davidson was in the movie.
He had a little cameo, which was, I don't know, it was weird in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still sure Pete Davidson can be good at what he does. I just haven't seen it, and I'm like waiting. He has a new show that I haven't watched yet, but I feel like that might be like the place where I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I like this guy, but I don't really like what he's done on SNL. I don't really like anytime I see him in anything.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not like a hater. I know it's like everybody's like popular to hate Pete Davidson.
Yeah, it's just popular to have a very extreme opinion on like a person who you just marginally dislike what they have done. Yeah, you know?
He just hasn't. As far as his, I have no kind of like parasocial like opinion of him. I don't know who he is as a person or anything. I just have, as far as his content goes, I haven't really seen anything I'm a big fan of yet.
Right.
He's got to be talented to be like, you know, in so many things on SNL, like getting all these things.
I mean, yeah, in SNL, the only times, I've really enjoyed what Pete Davidson brought to the table was during, I think I talked about this on a previous episode, probably the last episode that we did of this show, but he did like a weekend update. We might have been. I mean, he's always in the fucking news, so it's hard to. Which is also kind of why I'm just like, man, Pete, I'm tired of him. But
I know.
He did like a weekend update the one time where he was just talking about his experience in rehab, and that felt really fun and earnest and was very funny. But and then like his sketches where he's is his character's name Chad or something like that, where his like whole thing is just fun. Oh, cool. Those are funny, but I think those are conceptually funny more than like, and like.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I get what's funny about them, but I don't really like those that much.
That's fair. That's fair. I think there's like, I think one or two of them work, and then the rest kind of feel like okay, we continuing this joke. I thought a really funny one was when John Mulaney was in it, and John Mulaney's like a serial killer from like Scream or something like that, and he's like, you tormented me all through high school, and he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. It's just like, that's just a funny reaction to like a serial killer like given their tragic backstory, and you're like just genuinely sorry, but you also are so stupid you're like, I don't remember that, but I'm sorry.
Maybe that's what I don't like about it, is just how many times they've tried to do that same joke over and over.
They've oversaturated it. Yeah, it's a one-off. They've oversaturated it. And like I think the first one where it's like the college and he's like, I think getting hit on by the teacher or something like that is funny, and then that serial killer one are the funniest ones, and then the rest were, I was kind of like, okay, it's the same joke. I'm not like offended by him or anything like that, but those two in particular crack me up. Yeah, Pete Davidson in this movie, I thought he was fine. Like, I don't know, I didn't particularly like it was weird
choices.
Yeah. It was just like surprising to see him in it. I was like, oh
yeah,
okay, you're everywhere. That new TV show he's in actually does look pretty decent.
Yeah, and it's got like Joe Pesci on it, who hasn't done anything in a while, which is cool.
Yeah.
I guess he did The Irishman, but I haven't seen him do anything else.
Yeah. So
like
I
a decade or more.
Yeah, so I'm interested in seeing that because it also seems like, again, like that Weekend Update where he's talking about being in rehab. One thing I really appreciated about it was like how earnest it felt. Or is earnest the right word? Because I feel like earnest probably is like honesty, but with more emotion. Is that
yeah? That's kind of what I think it means. Ernest scared stupid.
Yeah, that's the one.
Ernest goes to prison.
Oh boy, did he! I'm just gonna look up the word earnest real quick, just to make sure I'm using that in the proper. Resulting from showing sincere and intense conviction.
Yeah, sincere. So that's another good word for it.
Yeah. So yeah, it felt very sincere. We was just talking about being in rehab, being like, "This is my experience," and it wasn't like sad. It was very funny. But he was just like talking about it like very casually, and it felt honest. Like it didn't feel like he was like making a big deal about it, but he was just sort of talking about what it was like to be in that rehab. And I really enjoyed the honest perspective on it, and like what he said about it. Like what he said about it felt new and fresh. Which is a weird thing to say about a rehab story.
You should watch John Mulaney's new special, because that's basically what a lot of it's about, and it's good. I thought it was good. It was like very like honest and stuff. Earnest. But it was
earnest. So yeah, like him talking about rehab honest, and like his perspective on it was funny too, and I'm sure John Mulaney's is also great, because I do really enjoy the perspective John Mulaney brings to a lot of things. So yeah, if this new show seems to be sort of about like it seems like it's about Pete Davidson and like his life sort of, and like how he feels like his career trajectory has taken him. I think that's the vibe
maybe
I get.
Some kind of like maybe like semi-fictional like autobiography.
Yeah, it's like what's another show that's like it where
Dave.
It's like Dave. Yes, exactly. Feels
like
a lot
nothing that happens to Dave is like true, but it's also like kind of about him. So this probably a little comments on him a little bit, but also it's like fictional. Yeah. And so I do like, if that's what the show is, I would definitely be interested in that, because I did enjoy his perspective. I'm sure his perspective is probably a lot different now that he's like dated like Ariana Grande and fucking Kim Kardashian. Like I'm sure that sort of lifestyle, it'd be interesting to see if he's able to be relatable in that show, if he's talking about himself, is I guess what I'm trying to say. His content is like mad to me, but I haven't seen that show, and I hope it looks like something I would like to. But my theory of why everyone hates him is just because he's dated everybody's like everybody's like, what's your one celebrity crush? Like he's checked off that list for like just about everybody. Yeah. So they're all just like mad. He's like, what? This guy looks like the guy at the gas station who I buy lotto tickets from. Why does he get to date?
He's got worse eyes than the Culkins.
He's like Steve Buscemi in a pug.
That's very accurate. No, I mean,
rude.
He does bring a little bit of Steve Buscemi energy. Yeah. He's like if Steve Buscemi was able to afford a stylist, or Steve Buscemi is able to afford a stylist, but I don't think Steve Buscemi
if he did hire one.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Not to shit on Pete Davidson.
No, I'm not trying to. I was just kind of making jokes. I don't really have any feelings about.
I did call him like worse than the Culk, like which felt like a mean-spirited joke in two directions. Yeah. And the Culkins actually look fine. They're fine. But their eyes, you can tell they're the Culkins when you look at their eyes. I don't know what it is about that.
They got those Culkin eyes.
They got those, like I got big ass fucking bags under my eyes if you look at me in the right light. And so I'm like, if anyone's gonna talk, it's not me, or if anyone is gonna talk, it is me, because I got big fucking bags under my eyes.
I think eyes are just one of those things that, like, at least for like, certain parts of the world, people just kind of look similar. So when somebody has different eyes, it's just like super noticeable.
True.
I don't know.
I mean, when you wear like
sentence.
If you wear a ski mask to rob a bank, the one thing people can see is your eyes. So like that's not normally going to be a defining trait Do you think if Pete Davidson wore a ski mask and robbed a bank, people would recognize
You
him?
might know. Right now. It's like Pete Davidson and Uma Thurman and Macaulay Culkin all robbed a bank.
Yeah, and it's like, sir, who do you think robbed the bank? Well, it's hard to tell because they were all wearing ski masks, but I think it was Pete Davidson, Uma Thurman, and Macaulay and Kieran and Culkin. That'd actually be a really funny joke for a scam.
I don't know. It just when the punchline is this person's face is weird.
It's a mean joke. It's a mean joke for sure. Yeah. Although it's not like Pete Davidson's ever gonna know about us or, yeah, like he's got like enough money. He's fine. He's like, oh,
sorry, am I coloring this wrong?
I don't know. I don't know how to color explosions, man. I was just rolling with it. You already have more.
Like,
we're gonna go by
brighter in the center and like darker on the outside.
Yeah, because like the explosion, all of the explosion does turn into smoke. So it's like on it, like as it expands outward, it's turning into smoke on its outward expansion. And we're gonna go by Splatoon rules, where you got more of the area colored than I did when we came to the realization. So you won. Oop.
I splatted over most of the drawing.
Oh yeah, baby. Do we have anything else to say about Fast X? I'm trying to think if there's any.
I think about.
Yeah, I think we covered everything. Yeah, I don't know. Great movie.
It was great. How'd you feel about it compared to the rest of the series? Where do you not that you have to rank them all, because I couldn't possibly do that. But like, how do you compare it to like 9? How do you feel about it?
It's I feel like it felt more focused than 9.
Yes, I think the villain and the story arc was more focused, but I did like 9 a little bit more just because the crazy shit was a little more fun to me. But it wasn't like
the rope
criticism
bridge
of this one. It was just
that
also might have been because I saw it with the whole group. That might have been part of why I enjoyed 9 more.
Yeah, the rope bridge I feel like was also a great dumb moment that it's hard to top that, like in terms of like starting the movie out stupid. Like the crane thing was like the rope bridge moment, but the rope bridge I think was a better moment. Oh, I do have one other thing to say about Fast X. Is we're back to sexualizing women, baby.
Did they not have a dance? They had a dance party in 9.
They had a dance party in 9, but it was at Helen Mirren's mansion, and all of the women were fully dressed in like pants and shirts, wearing pure white. It was like a white party, and they were dancing very tame, like just kind of like shaking, and you never got a close-up of anybody. It was just like you got to watch the women from afar. They were dressed in full clothing and in white clothing. Because I think Helen Mirren's character likes women that way. I think that was the implication. Because it was like only women at that dance party too. But it was very tame. It was very undersexed. Whereas like previous Fast and the Furious movies would be like, we're gonna shove, like a woman's gonna twerk and we're gonna shove the camera just right up her vagina, and that's gonna be like 3 of the shots before they actually do the car race. And then in this movie,
they were back at it.
They were back at twerking into the camera again, and like, you know, were there enough shirtless men to kind of even the scale? I don't know. But it seems like
we can't be the judge of that, but you know.
Yeah. But I feel like Fast 9, they were like worried about sensitivities, and then Fast 10, they were just like, fuck it, vaginas are back on the screen, baby.
Did Fast X pass the Bechdel test?
No, God no. I'm pretty sure it didn't.
I mean, there's some women characters that are just like strong women characters.
Oh yeah, I guess Michelle Rodriguez and Charlize Theron.
Oh yeah. Okay, it did.
I also saw this movie clip, not from Fast X, but it was like the only time 2 women talk to each other in The Lord of the Rings, and it's like a mom telling a daughter shh, and that's it. And then like one of the top comments on the YouTube video is passes the Bechdel test.
Oh well, that's.
Because the Bechdel test is ultimately a joke measurement. Like it is like an illuminating joke measurement, but it also does not speak to the strength of the women characters in a movie. But it is a handy thing to think about. I mean, when you make a movie, it is kind of nice to think about the Bechdel test and think like, okay, are the women people?
I was explaining the Bechdel test to my group of friends the other day when we started watching the Twilight series, and that movie does not pass the Bechdel test.
That's hilarious.
Because it's just about like.
It's all about like the relationships with Edward or Jacob or whoever.
It's basically just like she's obsessed with these pretty boys who are also creatures of the night. That's pretty much it. I've only seen the first one so far, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far.
I think it only gets better from there, as far as I remember.
I've heard the next one is the worst one. Is what
Interesting.
They were saying, but we'll see. I love. My favorite thing is in the Twilight series, at least in the first one. So the monsters have the ability to move really fast, right?
Yes.
So there's all these scenes where they're like sprinting, but for some reason the leg like hitting the ground, like the feet pressing off the ground does not match up with the speed they're moving. So everybody looks like they're like on one of those airport like people movers. As they're like sprinting around, they're like sprinting around the forest and they're going like this fast, and they're just like zooming faster than their legs are going, and it looks so silly, and I love it.
That's amazing.
Great.
I gotta say, those people movers at the airport, big fan.
Yeah, I wish that was just sidewalks in the world.
Yeah, when I was traveling home from your wedding, and I was in the airport, pulling in the long hours of the in-between flights. I remember I was walking through the one big ass airport somewhere. And for my connecting flight, and I was on the walker thingy, and I was like, this is great, I'm loving this, I'm moving so fast. And then like I got to the next one and it was like broken down, it was like due for repairs. No. So I just had to walk past it, and the entire time I was just thinking, this is fucking bullshit, this sucks.
The airport's gonna do next.
Jesus Christ,
ruin my time. Yeah, they're great. I'm a big fan.
Big fan. They seem so unnecessary until you're on one carrying a shit ton of luggage.
Yeah. I feel like it would be good in like any crowded place where people gotta move around.
Yeah. Because, some people just fucking dilly-dally.
Yeah. Gets people out of the way.
Gets people out of the way.
Today, we went out and my mom was in town earlier. So we're right where we took you to see Lake Michigan is right like 5 minutes away from where we live now.
Right,
so we went out to the lake, and
I remember that red building that I saw in that one photo. Was that I've seen that building before, right?
Yeah. That's it's like a old lighthouse on the pier type thing. I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
But that was where we went, but it wasn't frozen this time like when we went. But
yeah.
We walked out on the pier, and then on the way back, it's like a skinny like cement thing where like there's pretty much room for maybe two people side by side, but it's kind of room for like one person. So if there's anybody coming the way you're going, it's like pretty much like a one person at a time thing. And there was somebody in front of Morgan that was walking very slow, and I was behind her, and I could just see her like getting frustrated at how slow she was. And the man was tall, so I don't even know how he was able to walk so slow. It's almost impressive. But I was being entertained just watching her like physically get uncomfortable with how slow this man was going.
That's funny.
Great.
I don't know what to do with this background. I'm having such trouble.
I don't think. Maybe do like a skyline, or you could just do kind of like.
I was trying
a couple like blocked colors, kind of like you're doing. It doesn't have to be like very specific.
Yeah, I think this is what I'm gonna do. But yeah, people who move slow. I mean, maybe it's because I've been doing so much city living. But it's like pick up the fucking pace. I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I actually make an effort in a lot of my day to day to take my time doing things and like do things slowly.
Yeah. I was gonna say I have comments about moving fast or moving slow about that. I'm not mad at the people who move slow. I'm mad when you take up all the space moving slow.
Yes, exactly.
Have the spatial awareness of other people who are trying to get past you. That's the only thing. I hate when somebody makes himself as wide as the path, or goes down the grocery aisle like in the center of the aisle, or like walks 2 by 2. very slowly, like on a sidewalk. It's like, make room for other people. That's the part that makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Not the, you can go as slow as you want. I don't give a shit. You can stand still. Just don't block the path.
Yeah, exactly. Just make room. If you're gonna walk fast, you know, you probably shouldn't take up all the room anyways, because you're gonna bump into people going the opposite way. But
right.
You know, just give people room.
Have some spatial awareness.
I am all for doing things slowly though. Like,
sure.
I feel very often like I think just because of like the way my brain is wired, I feel very much like I need to like speed through some things and like do this fast. And when I feel myself getting in that like mindset where I'm like starting to like be in like a rushed mindset, that's when I try to like think, okay, I'm gonna take this carton of eggs out of the fridge. I'm gonna take my time doing it, and I'm gonna make sure I set these eggs down gently. And you know, just doing that is
seems kind of like almost like a meditative.
It is. It's very much a meditation that I've been practicing, and I honestly like I feel better for it every time I do it. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I did that slowly.
I need to learn to slow down certain things. I eat way too fast.
That's a big one. Yeah. No, I can be that way. Yeah, and like I used to do things fast. I've had people like when I was doing whitewater rafting, and like they were training me to be a trip leader, so I could like take trips on my own. The one guy who was trying to train me was like, you know, you're a very smart guy. You talk very fast. You do things very fast. So maybe when you're dealing with the people in the trip, maybe you just want to slow down for them. And I was like, I'm taking this advice to fucking heart.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I think especially in like our modern society, we're very encouraged to just like, now, rush.
Gotta make that money.
Gotta make that motherfucking money.
Rise and grind. Rise and grind, baby.
Gotta be in my grind set. And I think it's, I forget who said it. I'm gonna look up the name of the person who said it before I say like a person who is similar, and it becomes a gross white guy moment again.
Yeah, we're only allotted so many of those per episode.
We're only allotted so many accidental racisms in an episode, and I already said like sexism is back, or we're sexualizing women again for the fact. We've said a lot of things we could be canceled for.
You didn't write the film. You didn't write the film.
Mae West once said, "Anything worth doing is worth doing slowly," and I love that quote. I think it's a very good quote.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not true about everything.
No, of course not. But I mean, I think, you know, it's what she's trying to say essentially, and I'm sure you know what she's trying to say. But for the listeners, while we're talking about life advice, you know, if you like doing something, you know, savor it, enjoy it, take your time with it. Like I do that with video games, as you know, Brandon. Like I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna check out every fucking nook and cranny of this place.
You're like, oh look, I'm able to. They made it so you can crawl under the furniture. I'm gonna look under every piece of furniture in this game. I'm gonna check what's in the closet. Well, check the menu, see if there's anything interesting in the menu.
I do that. I do that. On a scale of 1 to 10,
you're the kind of guy that like you miss the booklet that came with your video games.
I do actually. I miss the car rides home, reading the booklet, looking at the illustrations and shit that are inside.
Yeah, it's nostalgic.
Yeah, the best one was Mark of Cree. That game had like legit Disney looking ass drawings in the booklet. Cool. And like if you flip the pages, I think they had a little animation that, because like the whole, like the aesthetic of the game was very cartoon. It was a very brutal, like bloody, gory game, but like the loading screens would be like the pencil drawing filling in and then becoming like eventually the actual rendered 3D. Cool. Yeah, it was very cool.
Should we leave this car white, or do you want to color it something?
Let's leave it white. We've spent so much time on this.
Okay, I'm just gonna add some little accents to make it look like it's not like we just forgot to color it. But
all right, cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'll help you out with that. Are you doing this whole side or just like this little indent?
I was just doing the indent. And
okay,
just trying to add some little flourishes, but we can make it the whole side. I don't know, whatever looks good. You're an artist.
It's fine the way it is. Oh, I gotta color in the fucking logo. But yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, how frustrating am I to play a game with? Because of that sort of. I
don't know. I think maybe like you and I have been playing games together for like so long that some of it has rubbed off on me. I'm not like as meticulous as you, but like you and I will play a game and invite like a third person in, and they're just like,
oh yeah,
taking off, and we're like still in like the starting area, like looking
that
under rocks
happened.
and shit.
Yeah, I do try like and notice when I'm being too much of myself, and I do try and kind of keep.
It does bug me usually. Occasionally, it maybe like the stars align like a certain game. It's just like. It's frustrating. Like I don't know, you spend time on something, but I'm pretty like look around for everything too.
All right, yeah,
to some extent. And
you usually let me know if I'm like you're nice about it. I think you're kind of like, hey, you ready to go? And I'll be like, yep, and then I'll
snap that's kind of what happens. You're right. But yeah, I'm the one who keeps asking to play stuff with you. So I mean, obviously, I know what I'm signing up.
That's fair. Yeah, you wouldn't keep asking if you were sick of it. So I do appreciate that you put up with who I am.
You're great. You're a pleasure to be around.
Oh, thanks. Do go on.
Your family.
Yeah, that's right, family. Family. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about Fast X. In all honesty, I think we've covered everything. Oh, it was great to see Jason Statham again. I did also cheer loudly in the theater when The Rock appeared on the screen. I did fucking go yes.
That scene was funny to me and Morgan because they try to make it like a reveal, like he shows up with a mask and he's like a soldier, and literally the second he's on screen, Morgan looks at me and goes, "It's The Rock," because he's and so I knew big. Too because he's gigantic. He's shaped like a human. He's like shaped like a weird monster.
Yeah. I knew right away. As soon as you could like see his body, it was like, "This is that the fucking Rock?" And like Austin and I, we're just like, "Is that the? Oh, is that the?" It was great. Extra Attack has redeemed Draw Willem Dafoe, so
maybe after the break we can do that as the end of the show.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Be a fun way to. That's a good prompt.
Yeah, thank you, Extra Attack. We appreciate it. Draw him as a Pokemon gym leader. Oh shit, that's good.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, I see. Okay, I was just happy to draw Willem Dafoe again. It's been a while.
Yeah, I missed him.
Oh, I missed his
face.
What
he's doing right now.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Spider-Verse real quick.
Sure. During the break, should we show off our? Sorry,
no, go ahead.
Should we show off our 2 cartoons that we made?
Let's do it when we come back for the break. How about?
Okay, that sounds good. And then we'll talk about Spider-Verse and we'll draw Willem Dafoe and we'll wrap it up.
Sounds good to me.
I haven't seen it yet though, so I don't want anything too spoiler.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna say like my quick review.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you thought of it.
Yeah. So like when the Columbia Logos picture came on screen, they were already going nuts with the animation. I know.
Made by Columbia?
Damn. But when that was on the screen, they were already like doing up the fucking animation, and like they were like doing the effect from the first Spider-Verse movie where you're like glitching and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
They were doing that and like as that was happening, I was just like, damn, this fucking Columbia Logos picture thing must have taken some poor artist like a month to do. This is a lot. And then the rest of the movie did not, like, every single fucking moment in that movie is so exquisite looking, and like every moment of animation is so, like, they didn't need to go 1/10 as hard as they did with the animation as they did in that movie. And I'm glad they did it. Like if they went any harder with like the kinetic movement of the cameras or the characters or just like the pure visual beauty and like detail, I'd have a seizure in the theaters. Like it would be so much like color and like flashing.
I love that because I love the first one so much, and I was hoping this one would live up to it.
Oh yeah, they went.
First one is like my favorite Spider-Man movie there is.
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, it was like the best. It was the best like superhero movie. That's it. Like the last like Into the Spider-Verse was the best superhero movie in my opinion. There's a lot of great superhero movies. There's a lot of trashy superhero movies, but of all of them, Into the Spider-Verse was the best one. And then I don't know if I want to say this one's better. There's certainly more of it. They certainly went like they 10x'd the effort. I feel like in the animation.
That's cool.
So I don't see how anyone's gonna be able to make a better, more visually engaging movie. I don't know how you would do it. I don't.
It is high praise.
Yeah. And like it's not just the art that's good too. Like the writing I felt was very strong. I felt like the writing was like the comedic moments really hit. The human moments felt really human. You know, there were conversations between characters where it didn't feel like anyone was like being ridiculous, or like every character has their motivations. There's some new character. There's this one character. He's the punk Spider-Man, Hobie. Oh yeah. So fucking cool. He's just so cool.
I liked him I always liked his design a lot to begin with.
His design's very cool.
In one of the previous Spider-Mans, like they have all the different costumes and power-ups, and you can play as him, and I just liked that one a lot.
It's very cool, and like his like visual style is so cool because like made out of cutouts of paper and stuff. Like it's very fitting of that like punk aesthetic that you kind of like saw a lot of in like Guitar Hero, and like it's obviously an aesthetic that's existed before Guitar Hero, but you know, more recent applications.
Guitar Hero invented punk.
That's right. But his visual style is cool, but also like his character is played like his punk character is played off almost like a joke at first, because he like they look at something and he's like, oh, this is a metaphor for capitalism, and it's like obviously that's not it,
that's
but
funny.
Like he's being like a little bit extra punk, you know, like sort of getting political when that's not it, bro. But as the movie goes on, his attitude towards the plot is just very refreshing.
That's funny. I'm excited. Like, I'm so excited to see the movie.
It's worth it. Like I'm giving it high praise. I don't mean to like overstate like how good it is, but it's very good. And like it's just nice. It's a beautiful movie. There is one thing. There's these two moments in the film, and like I think it works. Like I know what they're doing and it works, but it would be so ripe for parody. Is there's like this conversation between these two characters, major revelations are being had, and like the background behind the one character just keeps switching to like these different like very psychedelic cosmic looking visuals and things like that, because what's happening is like this character is learning something intense, and so it's like it's supposed to like every time they cut away they cut back to another person, and like they have like one background behind them that's also the backgrounds are always like reacting and stuff too, and like the visuals are so good. Like I can't even get over like there's so much to talk about with the visuals. It would be we'd have to dedicate another episode to the movie to talk about the visuals alone. But when they would switch back to this other character, it'd be a whole new background with like even other psychedelic cosmic trippy visuals, and then they would cut back to the other character and it'd be like their background, and then it cuts back and there's a new background behind this guy. And that's awesome. And it's great because like what it really does is it showcases the chaos and like the constant shifting, like the back and forth going on in that person's brain. It's very like the visuals aren't done for no reason, which is nice to see. It's like there's an actual like it's helping to enhance the emotion of the scenes as well. But it's also funny because you could easily like, if they, like I thought it'd be so fucking funny if they switched back to this character and there's just like a biblically accurate angel like behind them or some shit like that. Yeah. And then it switches to the other character and their background's normal. Switches back to this character and it's like the fucking like Around the World Daft Punk music video happening behind them or some shit like that.
It's like some memes.
Yeah, exactly. Just some memes going on behind them. They could have easily done that and it would have been fucking hilarious. But no, obviously it's a very serious moment. And it's not to undercut, but like it's ripe for parody. But no, Spider-Verse is phenomenal. I can think of one bad thing to say about it, and I can't really get into details about that. But for like essentially the bad thing
comes down to there should have been more. I'll I'll be down to talk more about it once I see it, which maybe by next week I'll have seen it. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I recommend it. Again, it's if Into the Spider-Verse, in my opinion, was the best superhero movie, this is either better or it's on par. I don't, it's hard to. It feels very reactionary to start ranking them.
Sure.
But like, to say the least, it's not a disappointment. Like, if you liked Into the Spider-Verse, you will love Across the Spider-Verse.
Awesome. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah.
I will see it now. I've
convinced him. This drawing's done, I'd say.
It is done. I have it saved. We can take our break if you'd like.
Let's go on a break. What do you think, Fred Durst? Do you think we should go on break?
Yeah!
You heard it here first, folks. All right. Be right back.
We don't get to make the rules.
Yeah, Fred Durst does.
Some days.
Wait, sorry. Make that hilarious joke you just made again. I went to the BRB already.
Some days you just want to go on break stuff.
People might have heard it the first time, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was probably the smartest thing I've ever said in my life. So. Yeah! Alright. Yeah!
This episode brought to you by...
Yeah!
Alright.
By the word, yeah.
That's right.
I'm trying to do my Willem Dafoe gym leader. I started mine a little bit.
Alright, I'm gonna start mine. Excuse me.
I have a reference photo up of the gym leader, just because I want it to kind of look like Pokemon style.
Yeah, I was gonna do the same thing, because they have a very... Pokemon has a style, for sure. I mean, characters with, like, ridiculous hair and clothes. Or at least ridiculous hair and cool clothes, sometimes, you know?
Yeah, that's usually pretty sure thing.
Yeah. So aside from the hot picks that are coming out recently, that sounds weird. The movies that have come out recently. Hot picks. What are some other movies or thing, like, what have you done aside from moving?
I've been consuming some media, you know.
Oh boy.
I watched some of a new I Think You Should Leave. I'm liking it a lot. I think it's pretty, like, I've heard some people say they didn't think it was as good as some of the other scenes, but I disagree. I think it was, like, felt very much just like the rest of it, what I've seen so far. So I'm liking that a lot.
Nice.
As I mentioned earlier, we started watching the Twilight movies, which is fun. They're very bad. I understand now why Robert Pattinson, every time they bring up, seems to get, like, physically uncomfortable that they're being talked about.
Oh yeah.
Embarrassed. But you know, I mean, they also made him probably a ton of money and kind of put him in the spotlight. But I understand why it would still be cringy.
Yeah.
Because he's actually a good actor, so he looks back.
He's a great actor, yeah.
Like,
Black Cross telling us to hydrate real quick. Make sure you drink up.
Right. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Oh God. Run down the wrong pipe.
Oh, don't want that. Don't want that.
Extra Tech redeem this. Says like so much Pokemon Scarlet. There you go. That's one of the newest ones.
Oh, I see. They've fixed that one, right?
I don't know. Nintendo, like, I know it's Game Freak, not Nintendo, but still.
Yeah.
They tend to not really do, like, updates for their games. They just, like, drop them and they're like, here you go.
True.
No quality of life updates, no fixes.
People have sort of said that they think that Nintendo just is not aware that the internet exists.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
They like their internet service is still terrible, and they're like a decade behind or more.
Yeah. And also all the, like, taking down YouTube channels that are just making very vanilla content of their games, or
yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
And also, like, they always say, like, well, it's to keep kids safe, but it's like, no, you're lying.
Yeah.
You could totally keep kids safe and actually have a an internet service that is serviceable in some fashion. Like, could definitely lock kids out or make it so you have like need very specific. Like the friend codes are already so specific to like sync up with people. So like, I don't know. It's just like it's already complicated enough. You're not gonna be like have predators cruising into people's DMs on Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, I remember they took out PictoChat from the Nintendo 3DS, even though that was a pretty sweet feature, because they were like, 2K, too bad for kids. And I was like, man. Well, it's because like there was a fucking news article where, or no, it was like I remember seeing a news report where some like news report was like, it's called PictoChat on the DS, and anyone could be messaging your kids, and it's like they have to be within like 100 feet. Like they have to be really close.
Yeah. Like, I mean, as much as I wanted that to happen, not anybody, but I'm saying like I remember being like in the back of a car, like with the chat room, like, wouldn't it be cool if somebody else, like in a nearby car, was able to draw with me?
Yeah.
Like, never happened.
Never happened.
At, like,
extra
a public
tax
place, a restaurant or something. I don't know, but like, no one ever did that. So
yeah, it was dumb. You know, once again, the news sensationalizing technology that they don't quite understand, just to get parents freaked out so that they can tell people you should watch this news report I saw.
Yeah.
Extra Tax says I haven't had any glitches or anything, so I think they did fix it. I'd have to assume like that game was really in rough shape. Like they'd have to put out some sort of patch. I have to assume.
My brother got it for me, but I haven't really dug in, played it much yet. So I will at some point. But.
Yeah, I feel that. There's a number of games I've wanted to dig into, but I've just been so busy.
Yeah. Busy. Been working on some stuff.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't been following, we've been putting out a cartoon every week for the past 2 weeks straight. About to be our third tomorrow. The third one's gonna drop. But yeah, it's been fun, but it's intense turnaround, especially for you. I feel like you've been doing the most.
Yeah, I mean, I did sign up for it, so it's not like it's unexpected or anything, and I'm happy with the results. So
me too. They've all been great so far, and I love the new one. Like, might be my favorite.
Yeah, I think it came like as I was editing it, I was like, oh god, is this one a fucking dud? And then I edited it, and I'm like, I don't know, I like it.
You don't feel like it's a dud anymore?
No, I don't, thankfully.
Surprised you felt that way.
It was just during the like editing, like when I was really like beginning to throw the visuals together. I was kind of like trying to get shit set up, and I was like, oh god, did we fuck up?
I will say from the first draft to the second, there was a dramatic increase. I think the visual variety that you added on the second edit really like made it come alive.
Nice. Okay, cool. But yeah, I'm happy with the result. I'm excited for people to see it.
Yeah. See that tomorrow on our YouTubes, on our Instagram, all the places where you consume content.
That's right. We're everywhere. We're everywhere where everyone is. So you've been watching this. I've watched an episode of the new Tim Robinson. I liked what I saw. I'm interested in seeing how absurd it gets, because I do feel like the show has been trending more absurd, and this is mostly just taking into account seasons 1 through 2. I do feel like it, like as season 2 continued, it trended more absurd. Like season 1 kind of like had those really weird sketches, obviously. But I feel like for the most part, those episodes would be rounded out by sketches that you can kind of see like the clear premise, where it's like normal situation, ridiculous character causes an issue. It's a good formula. And then like there are some
always like he seems crazy, and then the world ends up being like in sync with him, and the one like straight man ends up being the crazy one. That feels like that's the
that does happen a lot, yeah. That does happen quite a bit. Like the car focus group and the mud pie one are two very distinct examples of that being the dynamic. So it's going to be interesting to see how this new season trends for me because you know I'm just curious because like season 2 did have like those occasional sketches where it's like it is sort of like that. I hate to say like, oh, they should stick to the formula because I'm never a big fan of like sticking to a formula, but
sure,
where it didn't feel quite so absurdist to the point where sometimes I'm just like, what? I'm gonna have to watch that like 3 more times to find what's the funny part of what I just watched.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested in seeing how these. I mean, the one episode Austin showed me was very funny, of season 3.
From what I've seen, there's kind of like a mix of both.
Yeah, and I think season 1 had a
crazy and some that are a little more chill.
Yeah, season 1 I think had a healthy mix where like you'd get an episode where it's like maybe 3 sketches are like more mainstream funny, and then like maybe you'd get that one that's like the absurdist, or 4-1, something like that. And then I feel like as season 2 kind of reached the end, it would skew in the opposite direction where it'd be like you get maybe 2 sketches that are mainstream and like understandable out the gate, and then like 3 that are just like, what is the funny part? Like it's like I'm not unentertained, but like where am I supposed to pull the humor from this video or from this sketch? And so I'm interested in seeing how that ratio becomes for the newest season as I like progress through it, because by the end of season 2, like it's like 2 sketches that are, I get the joke. And then maybe one, like, and there's that one sketch about, like, the Tammy pees her pants that just makes me very uncomfortable. And I know what they're saying with that sketch, too. So it's, like, fine that it makes me uncomfortable because they are making a statement with that sketch. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember that one, but that's okay, it sounds like.
Whew. I like whenever we were showing our friend Tom who was visiting us last week, which is part of the reason why we didn't do an episode, is because I wanted to hang out with my buddy from college. But like when that sketch came on, I was like, oh god, it's this one. I kind of want to leave the room.
Oh yeah, that same like sex scene comes on when your parents are watching the movie with you, and you're like, I have to go use the bathroom.
Sort of. It was just like
I don't want to watch this with you.
It wasn't. I didn't want to watch it with people. I didn't want to watch it. It just makes me very uncomfortable. Oh, it's a very uncomfortable sketch. But like I said, the sketch is still making a statement, and I think the statement comes through pretty clear, and what it's saying is pretty poignant. But yeah. I'm curious to see how this new season pans out as I watch the rest of it. But I love, in general, Tim Robinson's comedy. I think he's very funny. So I'm excited.
Saw some good cameos in a little bit I watched. Fred Armisen has a sketch, and
nice.
I forget who else I saw, but there's a few people in the season.
So I didn't talk about this yet, but we watched RRR with the gang. Not you weren't there, unfortunately, but it was me, Austin.
I wasn't part of the family.
We watched RRR, and boy howdy, if you haven't seen it yet, folks, I really can't recommend it enough. It's so good. I don't want to get too much into it. It is a 3-hour movie, but I did not feel like it. In fact, I could have dealt with it going on for like another 30 minutes, in all honesty. Like, it was so good. But damn, what a surprising movie. It was fucking number 1, the plot is engaging. Number 2, the action is fucking nuts. And sure, the CGI looks really fake sometimes. I didn't care. What was happening was incredible. And because it was great that the plot was so good, because I was emotionally invested in the outcome of these action scenes, and that's good. Like that, like enough American movies don't do that. So like for a movie that's based on like another culture, set in another country, about like kind of like it's like semi-historical, but it's actually like a fictional story told in like a historical period. But like the fact that I got so invested just says a lot about the quality of writing going on. Not like I can't get invested in, you know, something happening with another culture, but that I felt so not lost in the culture, like that it was like a, you know, whole different like world essentially. It's kind of like telling their story. I didn't feel lost for a moment, and I think that's really, because like there are so many plots I've watched of like American movies where I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? Why do I care? Who are these characters? They suck. I hate them. I don't care if they die. This movie, none of that. I knew what was happening. You get it right out the gate. The characters, you give a shit, and then the drama is there. The drama is so melodramatic in the best of ways. It's just so good. Like, you do care by the end of it, and like you're just rooting for like the guy. And then the visuals, like even though like some of the CGI was very fake looking, like the people weren't asleep at the visuals department. Like the movie looks great in a lot of scenes. There are some shots where it's just like, if I had to describe RRR, it's like Fast and the Furious meets Bollywood meets anime, with a lot of anime.
That sounds delightful.
It's so good. There's like a moment towards the end where like there's this big reveal. It's like it's like this epic character reveal moment sort of thing, and it's so good. It's so good. It's so fucking cool. The character looks cool as shit. You've had enough time with the character where you're just like, fuck yeah, this is about to be awesome. And it was, and it didn't disappoint. It's a great movie. Yeah. So good.
Glad to see it.
Watch it with friends. Watch it. You don't have to be drunk while you're watching it, but we were, and that was fun. It's so good. It's just, and like another amazing thing about the movie, there is, Bollywood movies do have this tendency to have dance musical numbers in them. It's kind of a trope of their thing. There is one in the middle of the movie. It's like about the halfway point, I would say. Not only was it like a lot of times, like even in like, we've talked about musicals on this show before. Not a fan of the musical numbers a lot because they feel pointless and like they don't serve the story at all, and they're just kind of like wasting my time. Not only did this scene not bother me, I consider it a highlight of the movie. That's how good.
Yeah, that's some praise right there.
That's high praise from me.
Ian likes things this episode.
I do, yeah. I've watched. This movie came out last year, but I've watched a number of, like, we were talking about like movies. We came out of like the new Knives Out earlier this year, and I was thrilled that I liked it, let alone felt anything about it, which was like a far cry from what I'd felt watching a lot of other movies around that time. But I've watched a fair number of movies lately where I've not only felt strongly about them, but I liked them.
It's great. It's rare, but I've also been, it's been a good streak lately.
Yeah. And RRR was so good. I really recommend it to anybody who enjoys just a good time, like a good action movie. It's a lot of fun. It's a movie that knows it's being a lot of fun, but it's also a movie. It's like, it's weird how fun it is for like how serious the subject matter is, because it is about like the sort of British imperial invasion of India and like the sort of fight for freedom from that, because, you know, they were crazy evil when they were in India, obviously. And so to see like a movie that's,
know what it was about.
Oh yeah. That's like the bare bones of the story, but it is about that. It is about like that sort of time period and that sort of struggle. And fuck, man, for such a serious subject matter about like a really awful time in that country, like this movie is having fun. It's not like it's good. I don't know. It's a great movie.
Not too like heavy-handed or anything.
It didn't feel heavy-handed, and like they are straight up like the British people are monsters in this movie. Like they are like the big bad evil guys, but it's like also like knowing how history has gone.
It's a true story then.
Yeah, it's a true story. It's not. It doesn't feel over the top, even though like it almost is, but it's clearly not. You know.
Yeah. But I mean, the British were kind of evil, super
they were
evil, like
absolute
history,
monsters.
So it's not.
Yeah.
That's accurate.
Yeah. It's like one of those things where if it weren't for the fact that history backs it up, you'd think that these were like characters were unrealistic, but like history backs it up, so you're like, ah, shit, yeah. But it makes everything like it's just so well done. I was for a 3-hour movie, I wasn't bored for a second.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It's so good, man. And
it's always a great sign when you watch a 3-hour movie and it ends and you're like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
I wanted longer.
I'm sad that I will have to like I'm gonna be on a quest to find a movie that I had as much fun with as I did RRR. Like now, that's like a new bar set is RR the RRR bar.
RRR bar.
The RRR bar. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Go watch RRR. You will not be disappointed, I think. Yeah. Great movie. Also, we watched we watched some shitty 90s movie called like Disease or Contagion or something like that.
Contagion is one.
Contagion is a movie, but I don't think it's that because I think that's a David Fincher pandemic movie. This movie has the title that makes it sound like it's going to be a pandemic movie, but it's not. But essentially like this crew out, like this shipping crew comes across a boat where clearly some terrible stuff has happened because the crew is gone and it's like a ghost ship, but it's not the movie Ghost Ship. Because it's a bad movie, I will just talk more in depth about this one, but you find out that there was this explosion in space that caused like this alien like you know the movie Maximum Overdrive. You've told me actually about Maximum Overdrive, so
yes, I've seen it multiple times, unfortunately.
So it's like that movie is like where all of the machines come to life and are operating now.
Yeah.
So like in this movie, like the giant explosion in space essentially infects the machinery on this ship, makes it come to life, and starts assembling itself to create like a sort of robot intelligence on the ship, and it's also taking humans and like using them for parts, which is cool in concept. And like the best part about the movie was the animatronics and the way like the grotesqueness of some of these like human like machine hybrids and like the like surgery that you see of some of these bodies being turned into machine hybrids. But the movie is just shot so stale and like
bummer.
Like, if ever there was an example of a movie with a solid premise and a star-studded cast, except I had at least a couple of cast members. I think Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. The captain's a recognizable character, like a decent cast, but just like the way the movie was filmed and edited and like
the execution.
The execution is just not there. So we watched that. Fun, fun concepts and fun to look at times though, but really like no tension ever happened. Like scenes that are supposed to be tense just don't come across that way because it's just not done right. I don't know. It's a good movie to watch if you ever need an example of like how a movie can fail when it has a lot of things going for it. Yeah. We watched the D&D movie.
Oh yeah, I liked that.
I really enjoyed it. I fucking loved it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's very fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
Felt very much like Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Yeah,
just that kind of like ragtag group getting into some fun situations and just kind of not taking it overly seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I enjoyed it because it did feel very Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a good way to describe it. I enjoyed the vibe. It felt very D&D. Like there was so much that you can point to and be like, that's so D&D.
Yeah. I think the thing they captured best about that is the like trying to come up with a plan.
Yes.
And it like failing miserably or succeeding in just like a crazy way. And like the main character being the bard, like always coming up with the plans. It kind of felt like the way you feel when you're playing, trying to like come up with, all right, how am I going to get out of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I read somewhere too that in the combat scenes in the movie, the combat actually plays out how it does in D&D, where like.
Oh, that's cool.
And I haven't watched it again to confirm it, but if it's true, then it's like everyone's moving in like 6-second turns, and like they do like their 2 actions, and then it's like on to the next character. And when I think about the final fight scene, at least I could see that being the case if like I watched it again and like analyzed it that way. But I really enjoyed that. And I just really enjoyed how I've seen so many fantasy movies. You know, there's a lot of fantasy movies out there, and this one felt new. You know, like it didn't feel like they were doing, oh, we're very inspired by Lord of the Rings, even though D&D itself is. But it felt like they were actually making their own like new fantasy feel. You know, I
liked Hugh Grant in it. He's delightful.
Hugh Grant was great.
Glad he's back.
Glad he's back. Glad he's doing things, because I do enjoy Hugh Grant. I mean, the person who I look like, got to see him in more movies.
Oh, that's I forgot about that connection.
I thought everyone was great. I thought the cameo of Bradley Cooper's cameo was fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah,
so good.
That was funny.
I thought it was hilarious how not only was Bradley Cooper into big women, but then by the end of the movie, you find out that Michelle Rodriguez's character is into small dudes.
Yeah.
It's so good. It felt inclusive in the good way, where it didn't feel forced. It just felt like, you know, there's just a very like broad group of people that you're going to see in these worlds, and that's fun to see. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't have a lot bad to say about the D&D movie either. I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Same. Good.
Maybe like my expectations have been set so low from the beginning of the year that now I'm just like enjoying any movie. I don't know, but I liked it.
Nah, I think the ones you've been commenting on are genuinely enjoyable. I think that's fair opinions. It's not just you being like. If anything, I think
we're probably too
sometimes
harsh.
harder to plead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So,
sometimes, but that's okay, because ultimately the goal is just for me to be entertained. I'm not saying like nobody else should watch it. I'm just saying I didn't like something or I did like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also don't think it's bad to be hard to entertain. It just means we have we have high standards.
Sure. When something does entertain me, it really feels like a big deal. So that's cool.
Absolutely. And,
I'm entertained by a lot of things, but I'm saying like when I really like something that's not super common anymore.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like there's been so many times where I've seen a movie and I'm like, that was fun. I don't ever want to watch it again though. I would watch the D&D movie again. I'd watch it twice more.
Yeah.
Also, as Extra Attack says,
3 times no. That's where we draw the line.
That's it. No more. As Extra Attack says, also tons of lore and super accurate spells. Yeah, the way they handled the spells was, aside from like Wild Shape, which everyone's like, all the like super nerds like threw a huff over the fact that the druid turned into an owlbear because it's a monstrosity. It's not actually like a form that you should be able to turn into as a druid. I don't care, man. Rule of cool.
Who gives a shit?
It felt so much like an actual D&D campaign because like the spells were very accurate, but it felt like when the characters tried to do something really cool, you could sense like you could almost sense like the DM kind of saying, I'll allow it. I felt like
I'm also glad they never did a thing where they like pulled out to like kids playing at the end or something.
Me too.
I was waiting for it, and I'm like, don't do it.
I'm so glad. Yeah. There's like moments where I can feel a character rolling a 20, and there's moments where I can feel a character rolling a 1. Which I loved. And I also loved how when the paladin came into the movie and he was there for a couple scenes to move the plot along, and then he got the fuck out. I was like, that's your DM PC right there. That's the DM making a player character to, help the party along, and then, he left. It was great. It felt, and like the plot itself of you stole something and it was actually you shouldn't have stolen that, and now you got to right your wrong. It's so D&D. It's hard to imagine a movie actually nailing the vibe of a D&D game better. Like they really did. I
was impressed with that. I was kind of like I had seen good reviews, so I'm like, okay, I'll see it. And then I was just kind of going in expecting like fan service fantasy movie, and it was that way in some ways, but the pacing felt like a D&D game, is like what we keep saying, and that was like the part that I walked away not expecting to actually happen. On paper, I'm not even sure I could describe how they would do that, and then I watched it and I'm like, oh, like that.
Yeah, it was great. And like there are also like the moment in the graveyard when they have the 5 questions that you can ask the corpse, and then like it goes away. First of all, that's a real thing that has happened in D&D. I've seen many stories about players doing the exact same thing, where they ask a question to each other, and then that counts as like a question, and then they run out, and then it's gone.
Funny.
I think I think in D&D specifically, there's a book that has like unlimited knowledge that you're supposed to ask 5 questions, and then the book closes forever or something like that. I'm not sure, or maybe that was like a kind of homebrew item, but either way, that is a mechanic that I've seen in like Reddit posts. I when I was on Reddit, the main thing I read was like the D&D subreddit, and so that was in there a lot, and so that felt so accurate to a D&D game. It was great. Yeah, man, I really enjoyed the D&D movie. It was good.
Me too.
It was good stuff. Yeah. Oh, also the credit sequence. Once again, like I've been really enjoying how of like all of the movies I've seen, every single one of them lately has had an elaborate animated credit sequence for a good amount, at least.
Yeah, I like how that's a thing now.
I like how that's a thing because 1, it's fun to watch, but 2, any reason to get people to actually read the damn credits, I think is good.
That's a good point.
I think people should get credit for their work, and the credits are obvious. Like, credits are ultimately useful, I think, for studios like who are looking for like people with like notches in their belt. So if your name's in like the Marvel movies as like a FX artist, you probably have a better chance of getting hired.
True.
But so like those long lists of names of like these are the 500 people who like crunched to make Black Panther's suit look terrible in this final fight in the first movie. That's just going to be the way it is. But I do appreciate that at least some people are like able to like you're able to appreciate the credits a little bit, I think.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, D&D movie is great. Can't complain.
Recommend.
Yeah, highly recommended. And then we also Austin and I watched a lot of movies in the last 2 weeks. Austin and I watched Sisu.
I don't know what that is.
I'd seen a shit ton of commercials for it. So like apparently I talked to like 3 people, and Austin had seen commercials for it. My buddy Pat had not seen any commercials for it. And you haven't seen any commercials for it, but I get commercials for it, or I was all the time on YouTube. But it's basically like a World War II era movie. It's the trailers were all like, it's John Wick, but the dog lives.
Oh,
the dog's name is
that trailer, I think, or I've heard of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard that phrase somewhere.
Yeah, so it's like a Danish guy during World War II who's the hardest motherfucker to ever exist, just murdering Nazis for about an hour and a half. And
I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was enjoyable. There was some ridiculous scenes, which you'd hope for, but my only complaint is they didn't kill enough Nazis in it. I feel like for the
strive for more.
Always strive for more, but also like for a movie that said it was going to be like that, like the trailers portrayed itself as John Wick, but the dog lives. First of all, the dog's in like 5 minutes total. The dog's in the beginning of the movie. It gets shot at, but like doesn't get hit, obviously, because the dog does live. And then like the dude goes like a long distance away, and then somehow like there'll be a moment of downtime, and the dog's back. He's like, oh, how'd the fucking dog find this guy? And then that'll happen like 2 more times. But the dog will be in the movie.
Have you not seen Homeward Bound?
That's so true. That's
they have
so
an
true.
immaculate sense of direction.
So yeah, the dog's not really in the movie all that much. It's clearly shoehorned in there so you can name the movie Sisu, which is a catchy name. And so that you can say we're John Wick, but the dog lives. Because there was a market for that.
Yeah. Honestly, Morgan won't watch John Wick with me because she has heard that one part of the plot. She's like, well, I don't want to see that. And I'm like, it's quick, and then you got all like 5 movies worth of Keanu Reeves fighting like Russian guys and stuff. And she's like, nope, not watching it. I'm like, fine, I'll watch John Wick by myself. Someone make an edit where the dog doesn't get dumped, and then we can enjoy it.
So yeah, Sisu, it was fine. It could have been a little bit more action packed. I feel like because there was just a lot of downtime, and like I wasn't mad. But for a movie that was like it's John Wick but the dog lives, could have done with a little bit more of John Wickiness going on.
Fair enough. Yeah, if you're gonna advertise it that way, you should.
Yeah.
I feel like these Willem Dafoes do look pretty Pokemon-y too.
Cool. I'm glad. Let me see yours.
I'm not sure
hilarious.
I'm not sure what the Willem Dafoe ball does. Special quality. Maybe the Pokemon look like Willem Dafoe when they get captured.
When the Pokemon are put in the ball and they come back out, they've like looked into the mouth of madness, you know. And then I played a game when I was supposed to be editing the Say Anything parody sketch. I decided to take a break and play through the entirety of a game.
Excuse me.
Ooh, excuse you. My goodness. But I played Supraland 6 Inches Under, which was on Game Pass. And I really enjoyed it. I did. I beat the shit out of it. I almost 100%ed it. Eventually you get like these counters that tell you how many treasure chests and how many like collectibles are left in the game. And I had 4 treasure chests to go, and I could have probably easily found them, but I gotten to the point where I was like, I can leave at 4. That's fine. There was 160 in total, and I got 156. I can leave those 4. It's fine. But it's fun.
That's big of you. You're growing as a person.
I know, right? Look at me. It's cool. It's like a Metroidvania, but it's like if Metroidvanias were like Portal, where you just have to solve puzzles.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from I looked at a couple videos.
And I dig it. I thought it was cool.
Free on GameSpot.
That's right. It makes me want to play Superland 1. And then I looked at the screenshots for the next Superland game, and boy howdy, they are taking the upgrade to Unreal Engine 5 very well.
Oh, good.
The graphics are pretty nuts looking in for the new one. But yeah, it's cool because it's like, you know, you're like these tiny little dude, like you're like Play-Doh men.
Yeah.
So like the world is actually large around you, and they use the sense of scale quite nicely. And the puzzles were fucking. Sometimes the puzzles were so hard. Like there were 3 puzzles I looked up the answers to because I was just like, I've been fucking banging my head against a wall. And 2 of them, I felt mad that I couldn't put it together. And then for the one, I was just like, well, that's fine. I'm okay with looking this one.
I played it maybe a year ago, so maybe wait a little bit longer till it like feels fresh again. But we should play It Takes Two sometime.
Oh yeah.
Or you should play with somebody.
I'd love to.
It's
yeah.
Like very like co-op game, but it's really well done, and it's like the reason I thought of that is because you're small and everything's like big around you, and also
it's like a puzzle game, right?
And it's like the game design is like so impressive. Every like chapter from the next, it's like you're playing a whole different video game, but it's all like really like carefully crafted. It's good. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Or what we should play is A Way Out.
Oh yeah.
The predecessor, which is a terrible game. Me and Morgan played it. It was very funny. But it's been years now. I'd be down to play it again. We could stream it.
That'd be great. That'd be a great stream game.
And it's like it's specifically set up so like you can sabotage each other too, which is fun.
Nice.
If you know, for a few laughs.
Hell yeah. It'd be fun to play Portal 2 co-op again at some point, but like the custom maps that people have made, not like the main. Probably the main campaign a little bit too, because I'm sure like those would be fresh in our mind. Yeah. Well, just because I was gonna say like, well, we've already done the co-op regular campaign, but you know it's been like years, so it'd be completely new for us.
Yeah, it would be fresh.
But I'd also be interested in this would be, I think, for streaming purposes, but doing like the community maps that are highly rated that are for co-op would be interesting. I remember we did that one time that was like we played for like 2 hours, and then we got to like the halfway point in the map, and we were just like, all right, good night.
Yeah, this is too long. Extra Tech RPG says It Takes Two is a masterpiece. Damn near every game genre represented. Yeah, it is really like impressive. It's a great game.
That's awesome. I've heard really good things about
fun.
that game.
It's like charming and cute. It's fun. We had a good time. I recommend it.
I'm glad when
won like game of the year or whatever that means. But
oh yeah, well I'm glad when games that are trying something different, especially by smaller developers, are getting like the recognition. Like people still talk about it, which is nice.
It's funny that it came from the people who made A Way Out, 'cause that game's like kind of silly bad. I mean, it's functional, but it's like so cheesy and like not in a really good way.
Yeah.
It's fun, but not necessarily in the ways they were hoping. But I'm happy that they didn't take that and go like, well, fuck this, and like they tried again. They basically were like, okay, let's kind of try to make the same game but do it better, and then they just nailed it.
Nice. That is good. I'm glad to hear. I like that. It's cool that the studio was like, okay, well, clearly the co-op gameplay is not the problem.
Right. Like whoever's like the visionary was like, okay, so maybe not the best execution, but we're gonna try this again.
Yeah. Speaking of games that have awful stories, Alan Wake 2.
I know people are excited.
I've had so many people say like Alan Wake is really good, and I'm like, did we play the same fucking game? Like,
I've never played it, but I've heard you talk about it, so I was just like, oh, this is like widely accepted as a bad game. And then the announcement came out, and people were like so excited for Alan Wake 2, and I'm like, what? I guess people liked it. I didn't know.
I don't understand. Like, I don't think I'm wrong. I mean, obviously it's a matter of opinion, so it's really entirely subjective. But like I thought Alan Wake 1 was a badly written game, and it was a unfun game. It was bad. It was a bad game. You have a flashlight, and then you have to shine that flashlight on the enemies who are not scary, and then once you've shined the flashlight on them for 5 to 6 seconds, then you're allowed to shoot them, which is also not fun. Like, it's not fun to the gameplay mechanic is not fun. I don't get it. And like the story is bad, and like your character's a novelist, and you'll like come across pages of the story he wrote, and his writing, I don't know how he ever got the fucking job as a novelist, because his fucking pages were dog shit. And then like the bad guys are supposed to be scary, but they're not. It's not a scary game. It's not scary at all. Like I remember at one point, a bad guy, like I guess the bad guys, like, because they're like shadow versions of people of this town, like they show up, and then they usually say in like a voice mod, like evil voice, something that was kind of in their conscious, like before they got turned to darkness or whatever. And I remember at one point a guy jumps down, he's got like an axe, and he's like, remember to brush your teeth before bed. And it's just like, this is goofy as fuck.
Garbage day.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah, it was like the video game equivalent of Garbage Day. Brandon,
you have anything to plug?
Make sure you subscribe to the DrawBomb YouTube channel, and if you want to super duper support us, you can become a member of our Patreon, which has nobody on it yet. You can be the first to give us money for nothing, essentially, in return.
You could be the sole Patreon. You could be the one person keeping us.
Also, we did like the same outfit
out of the
almost.
breadline.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Funny. I actually forgot to give him that second.
I mean, I'm going off a picture of him, so maybe he just wears suits.
What I did was I took I looked at a number of Willem Dafoe in public pictures, and I was like, okay, he likes to wear suits. Sometimes he's got like the turtleneck and jacket vibe, but like the most important thing was the jacket. Like he's almost always got like a suit jacket going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out
we have a YouTube. We're putting up actual like scripted cartoon shorts every week.
Mm-hmm. We got a new one
Another
coming
one
out
dropping
tomorrow.
tomorrow. Good stuff. Check it out.
It's good stuff.
We're enjoying it, but I would enjoy it more if you enjoyed it too.
Yes. And then make sure you click the
Viewers.
thumbs up button on those videos, and make sure you watch it all the way through, or YouTube knows when you didn't watch the video all the way through, and then YouTube's like, ah, this shit sucks then, and then YouTube throws it in the bin.
Go ahead, hit the sound. Boom.
Oh shit.
We'll wait. There it is. YouTube does do it.
Yeah.
Can't have that.
So, make sure you watch it all the way through. Team Rocket boss
big
vibes.
Team Rocket boss vibes. Yeah, he does kind of look like he's like a Giovanni type.
Yeah, it does. Also, Extra Attack says, I really liked Control and Alan Wake DLC of it, so it's maybe it'll take. Maybe, I mean, I haven't played Control yet because the last time I had
Control. It's fun.
I've heard good things about Control, and Control looks way more interesting than Alan Wake.
Teensy bit tedious near the end, I thought, but not the design. The design was super cool and interesting. Just the gameplay got a little tedious for me, but I
can see that.
I do love the like video game where it's like your powers are you're just like fucking god. I'm like, yes,
that's awesome.
My power fantasy fulfilled. I like, fly around and pick people up with my mind. It's cool, but it's yeah, it was a good game. The design was really cool and interesting. I liked it.
Control did look interesting. When I've already told, I always say this about everything I say. I've already said this on the show, but you know, I've only got so many experiences. But when I first installed Control and from Game Pass and I opened it, the game literally like opened, and then in the menu there was a pop-up and it was just like, hey buddy, this ain't gonna work. Your graphics card is shit. And so it just closed down then. Like I was not allowed to play it.
Because
play it now.
You now have the graphics card that I played Control with, so I
there
know
you go.
It'll work.
And I heard they updated the RTX to be even better sometime recently or something like that. So
cool.
Now my Control will look better than your Control. Ha 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 ha. Neener,
Damn
neener.
But
yeah,
don't
Control
neener at a friend.
That's true.
Cool.
It's rude to neener. But yeah, check out the DrawBomb, check out the YouTube, check out the Instagram, check out the TikTok.
Yeah. Is there anything else? I know you're coloring your Defoe, but I do.
That's okay. No, it's okay. I'm not even that happy with this Defoe drawing, so like, we can end it anytime. It's okay.
I mean, you could always work on it after the fact.
Meh.
You're like William Defoe.
Yeah. William, go fuck
Why did I say
yourself.
William? What's wrong with me?
William
Defoe.
He would bite your nose off.
He would. He does look like somebody who would bite a nose.
Yeah.
And if he's like successful at it too, I feel like he'd clean that nose clear off in one bite.
Oh yeah.
He's got nose biting choppers.
He'd be like Dana Carvey in that scene in Master of Disguise.
Where he's the turtle?
Yeah, because he bites a guy's nose off and then spits it back on.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's really
weird movie.
That movie.
What is that movie?
I remember watching that movie as like a 10-year-old and being like, I don't know what the fuck I just watched.
So I know, I can't think of the guy's name. He's a writer. He did a lot of Mr. Show stuff. He was Starburns on.
Oh, okay, Daniel.
Yeah.
Stimopoulos.
Yeah, Dino.
Dino Stimopoulos. Yeah, I think this is his full name. I'm fucking with the last name.
I think he had a big hand in Master of Disguise, but he was talking about it how it sucks because like it's got like destroyed by like notes and turned into this like terrible film that he hates too. But like he's like, it would have been funny if they let us make what we've tried to fucking make, but
isn't that always the case?
Yeah, so I don't know. That's the only little detail I have about that, but I remember him kind of mentioning like he was like, that movie fucking sucked.
Well, at least
it's always funny when people who made something don't like it. It's kind of funny. I mean, it's sad, but like it's kind of funny when they were the ones talking shit. I had a professor who worked on at my art school who worked on 8 Crazy Nights, and he's like,
Oh
it's
god.
fucking dumb. I hate that movie.
I wonder if that movie holds up. I'm curious. I would watch that movie again.
I don't know. I didn't think it was terrible, but he was not a fan, and he made it. Or helped
Yeah.
make it.
I think I watched it when I was 12, and I remember not having any strong feelings about it.
Yeah, it's kind of how I felt too. And for me to not really give a shit when I saw it, and I was like the prime audience, I think, at the time.
That's a big deal, yeah.
Not a good sign.
I remember, like, when I watched Master of Disguise, I was like 10. And, like, when you're a 10-year-old and, like, you watch something, it doesn't matter if it made sense. You're just like, fuck yeah, this is my eyes, or things are happening in front of it. But when I watched
remember thinking it was terrible.
I remember watching Master of Disguise and, like, being like, what the fuck did I just watch? And, like, for a 10-year-old to say that, that means you fucked up.
Yeah. And this is right off of, like, you know, I mean, I know it wasn't new at the time, but, like, I think, like, kids were, like, still very into, like, Wayne's World and stuff. Like, you know, Dana Carvey was, like, up. Something that
absolutely.
people thought was, you know, he is funny. I'm not saying
He's a funny guy.
that he's not. It's a bad movie. That's not his fault. He didn't write it.
Yeah.
But, or direct it. But yeah, so I was, like, hype. Like, I was the right audience, but I hated it as a child.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note,
Folks, oh, I forgot to do the DrawBomb is recording live. So we're going to switch to
I
that
like that we
screen.
discussed all these films we liked and ended with Master of Disguise.
Yeah, how did that... What a weird turn this episode took towards the end there. But anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Again, check out DrawBomb. We're going to upload a sketch tomorrow. It's very funny. It's about Spider-Verse. We didn't see it when we wrote it, though, so
Yeah.
don't worry about spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's any spoilers, it's purely coincidence. Or no, they copied us.
They copied us. Yeah. Those
They hacked
assholes.
into my computer.
They hacked into our brains. Okay. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Hold on.